What is up, Space Noids and Hooligans? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode we are heading back to the 1 Year War as we cover the manga Mobile Suit Gundam We're Federation Hooligans. In this episode we will learn about Yuji, who joins the Nemesis team designed to teach people to be the best pilots. So let's get into this. UC-0079. The 1 Year War begins. After the death of Garmazabi, Zeon forces started waning. Eventually, EFF pushed Zeon back out into space, where the majority of the 1 Year War will play out. However, while the end of the war takes place out in space, EFF is still working on getting the remaining Zeon forces off of Earth. One day, a man by the name of Yuji Alcana disappeared during battle. He suddenly returned, carrying a few comrades and an extremely damaged GM. Since that day, he has been given the name Zombie GM. Someone is looking over the file of First Lieutenant Yuji Alcana, champion boxer from Canada, stationed out in the reformed Vancouver base. He is an ace pilot that shot down 2 Zakus, 1 Goof, and 1 Dom. A commanding officer is giving this intel to a mysterious team looming over him. We cut to Yuji, who is currently enjoying a natto-flavored umaibo. This isn't the first time we talked about umaibos on this channel, but they are Japanese Cheeto sticks in various flavors. But this is interesting. Natto is fermented soybeans. Most Westerners hate this. It is honestly flavorless, but the disgust comes from the texture similar to mucus. My question is, if you turn natto into chittle, what does that taste like? It doesn't sound good, I'll tell you that. He specifically likes to eat umaibo with cola. Okay, what kind of protagonist are you introducing me to? This dude has a palate of a psychopath. He and his friends notice that a Medea ship has landed on their base. One person notes that it is from the rumored ace unit called the Nemesis unit. Yuji talks shit to his crew saying he could take him out, no problem. A commanding officer grabs them and pulls them into a briefing. Here they learn that the Nemesis unit will be here to help improve the skills of this base. The commander hands over the mic to Lieutenant Ernst Panawa. She explains that supplies are low, so it is time to increase skill set to decrease the need for repairs. They have been given jurisdiction over training exercises. They are going to perform an aerial drop attack half a kilometer from the bunker via transport ship. She says the scramble order comes in 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7. She starts counting down. Everyone looks at each other. She gets the 3 and begins yelling in a typical drill team manner. They all scramble to their mobile suits. The team mobilizes in their GMs while the Nemesis team launches in the GM Striker. The RGM-79FP GM Striker is a variant of the RGM-79C GM Type C. It took the data from the Ground Gundam and the RX-78 Gundam and focused on close combat. This mobile suit was a direct response to Zeon's goof. It is equipped with a wearable reactive armor that is also used on the Desert GM. This is Choban armor, and I just learned that this armor was also created for Alex Gundam. It was also fitted with a high thrust backpack and improved leg thrusters. This mobile suit is equipped with 60mm Vulcans, 2 78 Type Beam Sabers, a twin beam spear that is the evolution of Grandpa's beam javelin, a 100mm machine gun, a spike shield, and a grapple shield. Nemesis will escort them during the training mission. They all take off in Medeas. Once they reach the drop point, one Nemesis member, Spartan, kicks a GM out of the cargo ship. They all begin dropping. One man is losing altitude quickly and hasn't opened his chute. He begins panicking. Yuji calms him down and tells him to open his eyes and focus. He helps him deploy. They touch down, but begin getting hit by enemy targets who took over the bunker. Yuji's ally is still struggling. Yuji orders him to get his ass going. They make a little progress, but ultimately fail the training exercise. They return to the base where Hawk Ryuzer judges their performance. Most of them fail. He calls Yuji forward and wonders why he saved his teammate. He tells him that dying while saving a teammate isn't a dog's death, as he puts it. He says that training should be used to judge the priorities at the scene. I don't really get that translation, but I assume it's more one's action in the moment. This upsets Hawk, and he begins to punch Yuji before Jean Dabibi stops him. Jean starts tearing into the company commander and Yuji. They move onto CQC training. Jean wants to engage with Yuji as he heard so much about the GM zombie. They switch mobile suits. Jean uses the GM and Yuji uses the GM Striker. They add balloons to their GMs and use giant bokens. They have to pop their opponent's balloons. Jean begins attacking, destroying Yuji's balloons. He has one left. He doesn't give up hope. Yuji starts picking up speed and taking out Jean's balloons. The two units trip on one another and they begin arguing. Hawk goes on a rant about having big balls. Okay. Yuji is summoned by Major Saki Desao. He thinks that he is going to be in trouble, but effective immediately, he is now a part of the Nemesis team. Major Desao tells him that he is chosen because of his close combat skills are a notch above the rest. He declines the offer and tells the Major that he grew up in Vancouver. Remember, part of the colony during Operation British did break off and hit North America, specifically Canada. He enlisted to specifically help out Vancouver base. The Major tells him this is an order, but they leave tomorrow, so he gives him the day to think it over. Yuji's commanding officer talks to him. He tells him that he enlisted at a base in Turkey. He then went to Jaburo for a little bit and then went to Hokkaido, India. Now he is commanding officer in Vancouver. He tells Yuji that he is young and he should go explore the world. He decides to report in with the Nemesis group. Jean doesn't want him on the team, but they need someone that can react as fast as possible to the enemy in front of them. Yuji comes in and asks if there is any kind of trial session or something. The team hears this and rolls with it, so they start asking for massages, to clean the toilet, run errands. Everyone calls him an idiot, and I don't blame him. I mean, who the hell buys Mam Cola? Get that off-brand shit out of here, Mam Cola. While some go out to sortie, Yuji finally gets some rest. He says that he will never join these hooligans. Oh, he said the thing. He goes to the briefing late to find that his old team has already sortied. He wants to go out and help them, but he is now a Nemesis member, so they deny him permission. Jean says that he never thought that the GM zombie would be such a big baby. The Major chimes in and says that they can't help directly with the squad, but they do have a mission to test the GM strikers on the battlefield, and now is a good time to do so. Yuji still isn't used to the GM striker. The Major gives everyone codenames. Jean's gun cannon will be codenamed Ape. We talked about this unit when talking about Rise from the Ashes, but to briefly sum up, the RX-77D gun cannon mass production type was originally supposed to be a mass-produced version of the gun cannon, but it was easier and more efficient to adapt to the RGM line. It essentially turned into a gun cannon light. Ernest Panawa, who I will call Eddie from now on, is in the Bloodhound and will go by Cockroach. Yuji is Tough Dog. The Major says that his codename is the President and his orders are absolute. They all launch. They drop down and engage in battle. Izaku runs up behind them. They run into Commander Kirk and Yuji's old crew. Eddie begins using the sonar capabilities of the Bloodhound. For more on how the Bloodhound or the hover truck works, go watch our coverage of 8th MS Team. Eddie tells the others that 3 bodies are moving towards them. One is a sniper type that shot down the Medea. They are trying to steal supplies. Tough Dog goes in to see the Medea cargo while Ape gives them cover. They go in to find an Augusta Labs lieutenant. They warn them of the sniper off in the distance. The Hooligans Medea gets shot. Ape moves in and attacks Izaku 2 using what looks like a Izaku cannon, 100mm cannon, or something found on the battlefield. Ape gloats, but the President tells him that the Medea was attacked by a beam attack, and whatever Ape took down was using shell weapons. Another beam comes out in the distance and hits Jean right in the arm. It happens to be Zaku 1 sniper. Also, props to the Zaku 1 sniper that stuck around all the way to UC0096. The sniper is using Jean as bait. If anyone goes out to help him, the sniper will pick them off. Of course, Yuji goes running in headfirst to help him out. Everyone calls him an idiot, but the President says to trust his instincts. He gets hit with a huge explosion, but comes out with minimal damage. Eddie explains the concept of reactive armor. It uses internal explosions to dampen enemy explosions, which I learned from you guys in the comments. I should have read this manga earlier to get the rundown. Along with the wearable armor, Yuji's past life as a boxer shows in his fighting stance and his reaction time. Yuji bobs and weaves through the beam attacks. He goes in and strikes down the Zaku sniper. They think that Yuji could be the one to master the GM striker. There is still one more support Zaku to take care of, but the GM striker has overheated. Commander Kirk comes in and takes out the remaining unit and helps out Yuji. As he helps him up, the commander tells him to go explore the world and give the soldiers of Vancouver base a good reputation. They complete their mission. Yuji meets with the Augusta technician, 2nd Lieutenant Tyra Cicero. He thanks him for saving him, but then immediately throws up in Yuji's face. He apologizes and said he is just nervous. Yuji just got a face full of MRE barf. At least it wasn't pizza night. Jean eats his own words. He was completely wrong about Yuji. Hawk holds up a magazine that says Southeast Asia Forces and says this is where we are going next. The next day, the Vancouver base sees off the Nemesis team as they make their leave. Yuji is now wearing the Nemesis uniform. He wonders where Jean is. Hawk kicks him and tells him to get into the Medea. As the Nemesis team takes off on the Medea, Jean stays behind. Toronto Supply Base doesn't have any combat experience, but they have been assigned a company of mobile suits to suppress fleeing Zeon forces in the area. The Nemesis team has been assigned to train this team and will be Yuji's first real mission as a teacher. Eddie tells him to just watch and learn from the captain. One pilot recruit messes with Yuji with a "your tie is untied and made you look" joke. This pisses off the rookie and he gets into the pilot's face. Hawk punches Yuji, sending him flying. He yells to the rookies asking what are a GM pilot's 3 sacred treasures. One guy shouts, the beam saber, beam spray gun, and Vulcans. Hawk reuser yells wrong and punches the man for his wrong answer. He tells the team of the red hot Sunset Beach, which is a sexual innuendo. Hawk says the 3 sacred treasures are bras, panties, and stockings. The team must bring him 1 bra or do 1,000 push-ups, panties or do 1,000 squats, and stockings or do 1,000 bunny hops. Sunset is pronounced sanseto in Japanese, but it sounds like sanseto or 3-piece set. It's a pun. Do you like puns? Because this manga is pun heavy and horny. Hawk says they have 15 minutes. Everyone is confused, so he begins punching people until they begin their training. Yuji watches on in excitement, but Hawk turns around and tells Yuji that he has to sanseto as well. Hawk proceeds to punch Yuji again. Yuji is drinking a shitty Mam Cola while lamenting about the captain. Mam Cola. He needs to get them panties. He goes into Eddie's room and grabs her panties and runs out. They're able to make it out before she notices who it is. The rookie who was with him begins puking. Come on, man, it was a tiny sprint and you're in the military. Pull yourself together. One guy brings Hawk a brand new bra, but he knows that it was never used. How does he know? He knows. That is when Eddie comes in and tells Captain Hawk that Yuji took her panties. He wonders how she knew. Apparently, Mam Cola has soy in it, and Hawk is allergic to soy. Remember this for later. Also, he is an idiot and left his Mam Cola in her room. Hawk kicks over the box of the 3 treasures. Hawk asks Yuji what the hell does he think he's doing. Yuji goes, doing what you ordered me to? Hawk says he will discipline the young lieutenant for doing exactly what he was ordered to do. He is punished by doing 100,000 push-ups and 100,000 reps with the practice sword. While practicing, he thinks about how he will kill the captain. Tara, the young rookie who helped Yuji steal the panties, has to watch over him. Later, when off duty, Yuji and Tara head to the bar, only to find that Hawk is also there trying to hit on some poor lady. The bartender goes out back to take out the trash. The 2 knock out the bartender and take his place as 2 men cosplaying as 1 man. It's just straight out of a 90s sitcom. Yuji and Tara try not to give themselves away as they snicker at Hawk's cheesy attempts to hit on someone. They pour him a drink and spike it with industrial strength methanol. The lady tells Hawk about Humpty Penguin. Humpty Penguin is Mam Cola's mascot. Mam Cola is the biggest industry in Toronto. Humpty proposed to a woman, but when she said no, he terrorized the town. One hero of Toronto slayed Humpty Penguin, and thus Mam Cola was born. They say the ghost of Humpty Penguin comes every once in a while. The woman says she is looking for her own hero. Just when I thought I couldn't hate Mam Cola anymore, she heads to the bathroom and Hawk grabs another drink. He rants to the bartender about getting away from his stupid subordinates, but he says that he does have one subordinate that has potential to surpass even him one day. Yuji thinks that Hawk is talking about him, but he says, you know, the guy with the glasses who completed the Sunset Beach and brought all them panties. This infuriates Yuji, and he jumps out of the suit and attacks Hawk. He takes Yuji and Tara outside and demands to know what they are doing there. The girl Hawk was flirting with comes out and yells. There are Zeon mobile suits attacking the city. One man yells that it is the ghost of Humpty Penguin. He says the spirit of Mam Cola is angry with him. Yuji looks at him and says, Humpty Penguin? It's just a Zoc. It kind of makes you wonder how many urban legends were created during the 1 Year War. Hawk says he will slay Humpty Penguin and become the hero. They all head back to the base. An anti-mobile suit team has been sent out. It is just a lone mobile suit. Hawk notes that the Zoc is a diversion for something else. They initiate Plan A, a giant hole. For real, is a giant hole? Of course, the Zoc jumps over it, no problem. It is time for Plan B. Power lines. Power lines? Are you kidding me? Of course this fails as well. What, are you going to tell me that they try to use a net next? I was fucking kidding. After the net, the Zocs shoot down some fighters. It is unstoppable. They reach the last line of defense, 3 GMs. Yuji jumps in with the GM Striker along with the President, Kong, and Tough Dog. He tells the team that the Zoc can't attack from the side. They have to flank the mobile suit, while Yuji distracts the Zoc. Yuji sees a person on the battlefield. It is the lady that Hawk was wooing at the bar. The President tells everyone to continue their mission, but Yuji goes in to attack the Zoc. He says, "Does the life of a woman mean nothing to you, Hawk? If he attacks with the beam saber at an angle, he could take out the Zoc." He rushes in. Just as he is about to attack, the Zoc comes in and slams Yuji to the ground. That is when Hawk comes in and executes Yuji's plan, taking all of the glory. He destroys the Zoc. The Toronto-based team cheer for Hawk. Eddie wonders why they are all happy for Hawk. Don't be happy for Hawk. They say it is because he said he will beat them up if they don't smile when he returns. Hawk lets everyone handle cleanup while he escorts the lady home. I hear that save the day sex is the best kind of sex. Yuji is mad that Hawk once again lied and stole all the glory. The Toronto base thanks the Nemesis team and wonders if they could help with the retreating Zeon team. The president, Saki Desao, says that even though they can engage in combat, this falls outside of their jurisdiction and denies the request. The random lady thanks Hawk by baking him a cheesecake. She says it is Toronto's specialty, soybean cheesecake. Oh snap, it goes right through him and he runs quickly to the bathroom, clenching them cheeks. I told you that the soy would come back to bite him. Eddie talks to Desao regarding the Medea incident the other day. She informs him that the crew members they rescued all died in an accident shortly after. That is such a great moment to go out on. The chapter could have ended there, but no, they couldn't resist. They had to end it with Hawk taking a shit and blowing up that poor girl's toilet. I guess no one's getting laid, but certainly something's getting wrecked. A team is scouting out a small town. There are audio signatures coming from their 12 o'clock. A heat rod comes out of nowhere. A GM slides underneath the heat rod. One GM is attacked. He falls down and looks up to find 2 goofs and a Zaku standing over him. Hey, wait a minute. Those are GMs cosplaying as Zeon mobile suits. A director yells, "Cut." It is a movie set. The Nemesis team is working as stunt pilots and helping train the new stunt crew on set. The director nitpicks to Eddie about the direction not being realistic enough. She looks at the fake Zeon suits and says, "Since when are costumes realistic?" and walks away. They are more or less waiting for EFF's big operation to take back California base on the West Coast. They have recently taken back Ellsworth base as they make plans towards California. The Nemesis team is going to head out and help the mass media record the situation. Eddie is chastising the Cherry Blossom crew, which consists of all females. One of the girls is Ensign Sherry Ford. She is Colonel Peter Ford's daughter, and nepotism got her a position on the Cherry Blossoms. Desao is talking to a compatriot who has been assigned to Solomon in space, and things on Earth are starting to calm down. He suggests that the Nemesis team isn't going to be around forever and to consider other opportunities. Desao responds by saying an ear of wheat bends with the wind. The director wants to film, and Yuji and one of the Cherry Blossom pilots goes to find Eddie. Yuji asks why they call her a tiger. She tells a story of Eddie being the leader of the Cherry Blossom team in the past. She explains how people in the rear must inform the people in the front, or accidents will happen. The rear consists of support vehicles like hover trucks scouting the area, while the mobile suits are typically out in the front. In Jaburo, if someone in the rear messes up, this is referred to as being a trumpet blower. Tora means tiger in Japanese. Toran Peto is like pet tiger or emphasizing tiger. You pronounce trumpet in Japanese as Toran Peto. It's a pun. That is how Eddie got her name, the cursed Toranpeto of Jaburo, or the cursed tiger. That was a lot of work to go for a pun. I remember the days of Yakitate Japan when the puns were efficient and to the point. I miss Yakitate Japan.
この日本人女神の手を
こんなの誰にでもできるじゃんか。
なんだこいつは人間かかなりの強敵と見ていいだろう
Eddie flashes back to a time before she joined the Nemesis Corps. She is talking to Desao about joining and is still unsure. Desao tells her that if she joins, her spiral of death will end. She is good at getting people out of sticky situations when the rear doesn't guide the front, but they shouldn't be put into sticky situations to begin with. She can be a part of ending these mistakes. The director looks over to see a cool facility to film the next scene in, but they aren't permitted in that area. The director doesn't seem to care. Eddie thinks about earlier that day when she believes that it is her curse that perhaps caused the Medea pilots to mysteriously be killed in an accident. Desao reminds her that her curse has been lifted. Yuji comes in with a giant jug of Mam Cola as a token of goodwill. He wants to help Eddie with the Medea report, but she doesn't want him working with her, or he may be cursed as well. She yells at him to get out, but Yuji says that sometimes the guys in the front need to help out the people in the back. Suddenly, the idiot director set off a chain of mines that were built pre-UC, but used for evil purposes during the 1-year war. It is only a matter of time until they run into one that is nuclear powered. It happens to be Ensign Sherry Ford that fell in her GM command. She is stuck. It will be some time until the rescue team comes out, so the Nemesis team decides to help out. They all launch in the hover truck. Everyone is supporting the rear this time. Rear. The ground around the area is collapsing and won't hold for too long. Eddie uses the sonar to find a bunch of mines in the surrounding area. Sherry Ford's GM activates another mine. This was a big one. Eddie has to go on foot to pull her out. Mobile suits or machines will just cave in the ground from its weight. Yuji tells Eddie to do her thing. He will go out in her place. He ties a rope to his waist and listens to Eddie's commands. He walks until Eddie yells stop in his ear. This is a mine right in front of him. He looks down and realizes that he was seconds away from death. Yuji begins panicking. Eddie is able to navigate Yuji around the mines and right to Sherry's location. As he gets there, the ground is seconds away from collapsing. Eddie tells Yuji the only way to survive is to jump into the GM Command's cockpit as fast as he can. The ground collapses and the gym is covered in rocks. Everyone looks on in silence. Eddie is frustrated with herself. She believes the curse continues on. Suddenly, out of the rubble comes the GM holding Sherry. The gym once again looks like a zombie. Desao's compatriots call him lucky, but Desao knows it isn't luck. They all learn a lesson that the front and the back must constantly be working together, something teamwork, something. Hawk says today's lesson is that victory is nothing more than a gift from God, but trust is a thing erected by man. Everyone is relieved. Tara comes over to Eddie and lets her know that the hover truck had a jetpack this whole time, which could have made things a lot easier for Yuji. Tara takes off on the jetpack and saves Sherry in seconds. Whee! Hawk changes his mind. Today's lesson is that there are various tools in the cargo bed. We get a catch-up by the narrator in the form of an old-timey newsreel. I might as well do the voice. Terrorism. They took away our families, our friends, our lovers, and stained our Mother Earth with blood. Never give up. Thanks to the hands of White Base, Gama was defeated, Odessa captured, and Seattle recovered. It's time to fight back. California Base is the only remaining Xeon holdout. Will we take back what belongs to us, gentlemen?
I'm doing my part too.
Tomorrow, everyone will head out for an all-out push on California Base. Today, EFF is holding a parade for the final push, which they call the departure ceremony. Yuji watches himself on the big screen. The director of the movie comes over to thank him. He was able to get footage of a real battle thanks to Yuji. He tells him women will be falling for him left and right. He is pumped and ready for the day. Meanwhile, General Gwynbao Hai. Oh my god, this dog's face. It is adorable. Unlike Colonel Bailey's face. Oof, that's rough. He is the manager of the California Base departure ceremony. Currently, they are at Ellsworth Base, which is the closest they could get before entering Xeon territory. I assume this is Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota. We know that EFF took back Seattle, so let's assume parts of Oregon and Montana as well. So currently, California Base territory consists of California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming. Remember, California Base is a collection of bases around the West Coast. It isn't specifically California. Some manga writers forget this, so I am glad this one remembers. They could detect Minovsky particles up to 2,500 miles, and they have 12 Big Tray class cannons mounted on the outer wall. They also have the Cockatrice Corps on guard. Cockatrice. They are also an instructor corps. It doesn't seem like Nemesis will be needed. Peter Ford is with Bailey. Meanwhile, Yuji is trying to get the attention of the people and is failing. Ensign Sherry Ford is on leave today and calls out to Yuji, referring to him as Little Yuji. He calls her a skank. After arguing, Sherry refers to Desao as Uncle Saki. She tells him that Desao and Peter Ford, her dad, were good friends when in the military academy. Yuji can't see Desao and Ford being friends. Yuji takes a break and visits the Cockatree Corps doing a show for the people. He goes to the vending machine to grab a Mam Cola, but a man named Suhan cuts in front of Yuji and grabs a Mam Cola first. When Yuji goes to get one for himself, it is out of order. Suhan got the last one. Suddenly, someone recognizes Yuji as the zombie Jim. He finally has a fan. Suhan eats an amaibo in front of Yuji and calls it weak. This is Yuji's favorite snack. He feels offended. Someone needs to tell Yuji that his taste is trash. Johnson and the Cockatree Corps introduce himself to Yuji. The two look forward to fighting side by side. Desao is worried about the base being attacked, but Ford tells him to stop worrying. Saki gives emergency orders for the Nemesis team to regroup. Eddie is in the hover truck and she senses something from underground approaching fast. Outside of the base, one Type 61 tank flies off and crashes. 10 seconds until it makes contact. Out of the ground bursts the AG. The EMS-05 AG was built at California Base after Zeon captured it and was designed to attack the underground base Jaburo. This mobile suit bores and digs through rocks. It has 2 hover jets and treads instead of standard legs. This unit is equipped with a laser torch for cutting and a large drill as well as a rock grinder. Some units have been retrofitted with missile launchers, but these aren't designed for combat. It is accompanied by Zaku's. All hell breaks loose and the civilians begin running. Bailey realizes that the big tray cannons can't aim inward towards the city and they are useless. Yuji gets into the GM Striker, but Johnson and the Cockatrice team say they will handle it in their GMs. The AG uses its drill on Johnson's gym, tearing it apart. Yuji goes in to attack the AG. He holds it back as the generals make their escape. They aren't after the generals, however. Remember, last episode we learned that there are underground caverns throughout this area. It was used pre-Universal Century to store nuclear weapons. Eddie realizes they are carrying a nuke underground. As Yuji sneaks around, an ACT guy sneaks up behind him. Eddie is trying to get in contact with Desao, but short-range communication is being jammed. Ford wants Bailey to give command to him since he messed this up, but he refuses. He is informed that all base units have been taken out already. However, the Nemesis team is holding their own. Ford says, actually, Saki Desao should take command on this mission. As a bomb hits close by, Bailey gives command to Desao. As he makes moves, he thinks back to 22 years ago at the military academy in Paris. One of the professors is not necessarily preaching the ideas of controlism, but rather simply saying it is only a matter of time. He also believes that EFF's reach isn't wide and space noids will rise up. One guy stands up and calls him a space noid sympathizer, but he is unwavering in his beliefs. Running late to the class is a young Saki Desao. Later, he is tasked with cleaning the waiting room. He stumbles into the room to find that the professor is bald and wearing a toupee. He yells at Desao. That is when a young Ford comes in. The professor yells at both of them. Desao tells Ford that he doesn't really care about the professor, but he knows that he is going to be a bridge between Earthnoids and Space Noids. This assumes that Earthnoids at one point danced with the idea of controlism, but once controlism started to be associated with anti-EFF sentiments, that went away. Desao has dinner with the professor. He tells Saki that he once told Daikun not to make bold declarations of independence, but that has long passed. They are eating something made with sky radishes, cultivated from Side 5. In the colonies, there are no seasons, and anything can be grown at any time of the year. Desao is living with the professor in exchange for doing housework. Let's take the high road and not make a sex joke. The professor has finished a draft of something he claims will subdue the chaos in space. As Desao escorts the professor, a man randomly shoots him and kills him. Desao says that if the professor were to live, this war may not have occurred. Back in the present, nothing is working, so Eddie gets out of the hover truck, only to be greeted by the 120mm machine gun of a Zaku. Suddenly Kong shoots it in the back and destroys the unit. Since we are now in the middle of action, I guess I'll use everyone's call sign. Cockroach wants to know where the president and Tough Dog are, but Kong is useless. She has to focus on stopping the jamming. Meanwhile, Yuji, aka Tough Dog, calls for Cockroach when he is shocked from behind by an Agai Guy's heat rod. He slices through one, but the Agai Guy has 4 total. As Hawk, aka the president, finds a beam saber, someone comes by and snatches his beam rifle. It is a Zogok. The MSM-08 Zogok is a variant of the Zagok and was also another mobile suit developed and designed at California Base by Zeon with the sole purpose of attacking Jaburo. This works in conjunction with the Juagu and is an amphibious unit. It has no head unit to reduce friction underwater. The large mono-eye camera in the center of the chest has a wide range of motion. It is equipped with a boomerang cutter, which is essentially a batarang, an extendable arm called the arm punch, a heat sword, a Sturmfaust, and a beam rifle with a 2.2 megawatt output. In UC-0096, wide cutters will be added to help with the cooling. The Zogak bends his beam rifle in half. Hawk uses part of the axe drill to stab the Zogak with one hand and stabs his beam saber using the other hand. The Zogak is able to hold him back, however. Sherry runs into a few people who claim to be lost. She tells them to follow her. The director uses this opportunity to get more footage of Yuji fighting. Yuji is hiding while trying to get in contact with his team, but the Agai guy grabs his leg and throws him across the base. Whee! The director caught it all on camera. He gets up from the fall to see two children in a car hiding. He yells at them to run away. The Agai guy uses the heat rod and destroys the overpass. It falls on top of the car. The gem gets shocked. As it comes in for another attack, Yuji gets up and punches it in its nose? I'm going to call it a nose. He is able to take out the Agai guy. Suhan watches Yuji take on two Zakus and another Agai guy. He beelines it right for one of the Zakus and does a shoulder throw, throwing one Zaku into the other Zaku. All that's left is the Agai guy. He rushes in. The Agai guy uses its heat rods, but Yuji rips them out of the arms. The Zeon mobile suit uses a flash grenade and rushes in. Yuji grabs his twin beam saber and impales it right through its mono eye. It ducked, but it didn't expect a second beam. Twin beam saber for the win. The Zogak shut off its boomerang cutter and is returning back. Hawk is trying to use sheer power on the Zogak, but decides to roll his opponent onto his back. He throws the Zogak right into its own boomerang cutter blades. Hawk says the lesson for the day is, if you can't push, try pulling. Eddie gets out of the hover truck with a power cord and tells some random EFF soldier to quickly plug this in. The hover truck only has one bar, man. The soldier says Commander DeSalle is allocating all the power currently. On top of the base, DeSalle is leading a bunch of Zakus into a trap. Eddie realizes the captain is in charge and everything will be alright. Sherry takes the shady guys to an evacuation sector, but of course they hold her at gunpoint and tell her to take them to the command center. DeSalle still doesn't know what Zeon's main objective is, but he finally gets in contact with Eddie, who tells him about the potential for nukes. Bailey is like, you idiots, they would have to steal our reserves and then try to activate them. A man comes rushing in to tell Bailey that they indeed stole their reserves and are trying to activate them. Bailey and his men go into action on foot. Hawk meets up with Yuji. He is moving the rubble. He gets out of his mobile suit and starts moving rocks by hand to find the two children that were hiding in the car. One of the kids' legs are broke. He grabs them and gets the kids to safety. Yuji makes a run for it with the children. Hawk thinks that he is bailing from the battle. Sherry was taken hostage by the old creepy men working for Zeon. She takes them to the main control base, but lets them know that you can't control the nukes from the main control room as a failsafe. They know this, but they are there for a random data drive. That is when an EFF ground team comes in and kills all but two of the men. Saki and Sherry's father, Peter Ford, follows and begins interrogating the two men. Saki wants to know how they didn't trigger their sensors in their underground bunkers. It was easy for them to get rid of the sensors, but when Saki asks about the hacking, they have no clue. Saki briefly had a conversation about the nuclear control room to Bailey earlier during the departure ceremony. It means that someone in EFF overheard this and is a mole. He asks who is the person they got their data from. This must be the real mole. The kids that Yuji saved are named Ryan and Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson, really? They say they came to the departure ceremony to see real heroes, and he is a hero. Yuji is finally getting the praise he has been looking for. They say that mobile suit pilots are the manliest men. The kids say their dad is a mobile suit pilot as well. He wonders if his dad is Philip Johnson, the cockatrice leader. Last episode, Philip and the cockatrice team took a beating, and Yuji believes that he might be dead. He says, yeah, we should probably find your mother. Hawk is mad Yuji went off without him. Eddie in the hover truck meets up with Hawk, and they regroup with the others. Meanwhile, the spies that Saki was interrogating pull a gun on Bailey after he explains how bad he is at commanding a base with nukes. They run off with the data file. Saki wants to know why Bailey is willing to die for this data. He tells them that this base wasn't able to decrypt Zeon communication after they took over the base. Location of bases, names of spies. All this data is available if one is able to decrypt. With this data, they certainly can end the war faster. The spy runs with the data and is eventually surrounded, but he says this mission isn't about retrieval, but destruction. He sigs at Zeon and blows himself up, along with the data and everyone on the same floor. Hawk goes in to attack the Zogak, but it begins its retreat. Saki takes all the blame for the attack. Yuji comes in with the kids looking for Philip Johnson. Saki tells him to get back to his mobile suit and focus on protecting the higher-ups. Yuji grabs Saki and tells him that he is here to protect the children, not some bastard higher-ups. Saki flashes back to the incident with his old professor before telling the world of something that might change history as they know it. The professor is shot. A riot breaks out as Saki tries to get medical help. The professor gets up and walks with his injury. Saki tries to stop him, but he says if he can't help the people here and now, then he will never be able to protect the Spacenoids. The professor died, and in that moment, everyone stopped rioting. Yuki reminded him of this moment. Colonel Bailey is being a coward and trying to blame Saki. But that is when Brigadier General Dunamo of Augusta Labs sees that Saki was doing the best with what he had. He also likes that Yuji has a backbone, but he tells him to watch how he addresses his superiors. Yuji meets with Philip Johnson's wife and gives her the bad news. Saki and Yuji are determined to seek justice. The sole surviving Zogak completes the mission and meets up with a mysterious mobile suit in the shadows. As the Zogak pilot gives his debriefing, the mysterious mobile suit snipes and destroys the Zogak. The departure ceremony was supposed to raise morale, but they are all mourning the loss of 217 people that died during the incident at Ellsworth Base. As they mourn the losses, one of Johnson's kids tells Yuji that he doesn't have to worry and that they will protect their mother from now on. Yuji tells them that their fathers raised two brave boys. Apparently during this incident, the film director also died in action, which is apparently not true. We'll find out later. One man we rarely talk about is Doug Kyson. He is a huge man, but a gentle man. He also has said nothing for the most part and just sticks to the background. As they give a moment of silence, Yuji notices Doug with the clergy praying to his fallen comrades. He is taken aback by Doug being a religious man. He is so multifaceted but so mysterious. Hawk tells Yuji to shut up and pray. The Nemesis team heads out in the C-88 Medea. They have been informed that the Zogak that retreated during battle was found and destroyed. It seems like it was killed by friendly fire. Saki believes that since all the sensors in the underground cave were placed exclusively for the departure ceremony, it most likely means that there is a mole working on the inside. Someone in their top ranks is an informant. Yuji says to Doug, "So you're a priest? That's neat." Doug just silently smiles and nods at him. Hawk tells him that Doug can also communicate with the dead. A woman is looking for her loved one, Kenny. Doug whispers in Tara's ear. He tells him to tell the woman that Kenny is alive and hasn't passed to the other world. Suddenly a woman with the most awkward mole says that her mole tells her of bad premonitions. She says that Kenny is dead and that the Nemesis team gives off the essence of death. Tara points and yells Kobu, which is Japanese for mole. A Hawk says, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. You gonna say that the premonitions of my boy Doug are wrong? This dude Doug right here. He hatched from a stone in Kentucky. At 3 years old, my man rode the Great Lakes on a lotus flower. At the age of 7, he adopted a baby. And you were trying to talk shit about Doug?" Yuji says none of this could be true, right? Right? Hawk says it is time for Nemesis 48, Technique 15. Bang bang, one-on-one, spirit battle. Winner takes the smell of death away. Except Yuji, that dude reeks of death. When Hawk made Yuji steal panties, it also had a special Nemesis designation like this. Peter tells Saki the incident in Vancouver. He says that the records have been erased. As the war comes to a close, higher-ups are trying their best to protect their interests. More fighting means more money coming in to their fleet. Eddie wonders if it is Bailey. But Saki is certain that they wouldn't risk using someone that is in direct command. Saki wonders if he is still alive. Meanwhile, Mole Lady uses voodoo magic, while Doug communes with his grandfather. This episode is so unhinged. Mole Lady uses her mole to unlock her chakra and lets her speak with the spirit world. That is when Doug yells, "Grandpa, Kenny is there!" Like a madman, he runs off and gets into the gun cannon. Yuki has no idea what the hell is happening. Doug fires into an abandoned building. Out of the rubble comes a little dog named Kenny. Yuji learned something in all of this. I don't know what it was, but it was something. Saki wants to talk to one of the prisoners. He took 5 bullets and wants to talk to him while he is still alive. They don't want to let him in, but he still has command until the new commander comes tomorrow. The enemy spy is passed out. Saki begins talking to himself about the situation. He mentions the retreating soldier was taken care of, and he will die soon too. The spy wakes up, grabs his hand, and says, "What do you mean, taken care of?" Yuji is mad that this was all over a dog, but that is when Saki assembles the team and preps them for the next mission as they make their move into California base and Zeon territory. They are usually an instructor corps, but they will be thrusted into the front lines on this one. Anything could happen. At Mount Rainier in Seattle, EFF is trying to convince a small Zeon holdout to surrender. The Zeon commander is drunk and is delusionally stating that any minute now, Garma's forces will come to save them. Garma has been dead for a while now. The other Zeon soldiers are ready to give up. Half of the Nemesis team make their way to the location. Weird Mole Lady also seems to be in Seattle as well. Yuji looks over the Gao rudder that Garmazabi used during his kamikaze attempt on White Base. It is on display for EFF in Seattle. Tara is heading to Augusta to get some spare parts for the Nemesis team. Since their parts are so unique, it is easier for them to just go pick up the parts. Meanwhile, Hawk and Saki are in the Grand Canyon. They had to go to a meeting before the operation takes place, but during this meeting, they are sure they will find their informant. Saki stole the spy from the base and dressed him in an EFF uniform to help them find the mole. They tell him not to talk too much, as his Zeon accent is thick. What is a Zeon accent? They start talking shit about Yuji. Meanwhile, in Seattle, Yuji sneezes. If you don't know, it is Japanese superstition that when you sneeze, someone is probably talking to you behind your back, which is why you see this cliche in manga and anime a lot. Yuji is running tests at the Seattle testing grounds. They are monitoring his techniques to collect battle data. The techs tell him that this could potentially save lives. Yuji flashes back to the colony drop. One of the fragments of the colony hits Vancouver. Yuji was a master boxer, but after watching people die from something so devastating, he never felt so helpless. It was at that moment that Yuji decided to enlist. Hearing that this battle data is helping people, he is doing exactly what he wanted when he decided to sign up. Doug gives Yuji a special charm to protect him. The mole lady said ominous things the other day, so he is going to need it. He spots a Zeon craft flying around Mount Rainier. They are fleeing forces. It is only a matter of time until they surrender. The war really is coming to a close. But suddenly, a black cat crosses his path and Minovsky particle density increases. They are informed that 3 Zakus are approaching their location. Bailey is also attending the meeting at the Grand Canyon. He was demoted 1 rank for the incident at Ellsworth Base, but is now in Jaburo, so he is happy. At that moment, Saki breaks his glasses. Everyone is having the worst luck. Mole Lady was right. We see the Mole Lady cursing the Seattle team. A modified Zaku comes in and does a decent amount of damage. Yuji tries to hold him off, but a Zaku cannon comes in blasting. It distracts Doug, and another Zaku slices him in half. This is an MS-06FS Zaku 2. The MS-06FS Zaku 2 Garmazabi Custom was designed specifically for Garmazabi and is a variant of the F-type. This is designed with more close combat features and has 4 40mm Vulcans on its head. There were very few of these units made and mainly given to commanders before the creation of the S-type. Other weapons include a shoulder shield, a 120mm machine gun, a small caliber machine gun, a heat hawk, and much more. The Zaku holds up Doug's gun cannon head, and he claims to be Garmazabi. Everyone is confused as Garmazabi is dead. He throws the gun cannon head back at a frustrated Yuji. Yuji remembers Doug telling him that he and Tara are good people and says, well, he's mute. He writes the words. Only when bent and twisted does one obtain a straight spirit. He holds Doug's gun cannon head as his unit goes up in flames. Yuji rages and attacks the unit claiming to be Garmazabi, but they retreat. One soldier tells Yuji to get onto the gunperry and help their team seek revenge. Let's just take a moment to admire this artist version of Garmazabi. Oh my. The Zeon remnants are still holding up part of Vancouver. EFF moves on them, while the drunken Zeon commander remembers Garmazabi. 2 of his subordinates decide to sneak off and surrender, then deal with this guy slowly going mad. The Vancouver commander is informed that Seattle has just experienced an attack by a platoon of 3 Zakus that are heading their way. That is when they begin getting attacked. It is the Zaku 2 FS and his team. They come in crushing gems, and everyone makes this face. There is a lot of meme potential with this manga. Saki is waiting to attend the meeting at the Grand Canyon. Remember, he stole the spy to help point out one of the EFF higher-ups who is working as an informant. But the Zeon spy doesn't think that they will show up to this event. At the event, Saki meets with Ford, but he also meets with Hens. Hens? No, I'm sticking with Hens. He says that Saki is a world-class baseball catcher, and he looks forward to the baseball club. I want to see that side story. Hins Brown is with Vice Admiral Waff and has connections in the transportation and communication industries. Ashley Lau is with the ground forces. General Wenval Hai has connections with the aviation industry. Of course, there is Peter Ford, who is here with General Wayne, an old real estate mogul. Vice Admiral Traberton is looking to privatize public companies on the colonies. They are all looking to get their slice of the pie in a post-one-year war world. Through Saki's glasses, he takes pictures of all the higher-ups at the meeting. At the hotel, the Zeon spy and Hawk look over the images coming in. He's never met him. Never met him. Nope. No matches thus far. Back in Vancouver, the old Garma Zaku begins attacking EFF. The soldiers were defeated, but now that they see what appears to be Garma, their spirits have been raised. A tidal wave of Zakus rush the base. One Zaku throws a colony fragment at what I thought was a big tray class, but I think it's just a building. It's hard to tell sometimes. Zeon is starting to get the upper hand, but that is when Yuji drops down in the GM Striker. Eri is informed of Yuji's location, but she wants him to pull back. His mobile suit is on the verge of overheating. The Zaku shell weapons don't penetrate the GM Striker. This person, calling himself Garma, continues riling up Zeon. Yuji's gym begins overheating. In the Grand Canyon, the spy finally spots a familiar face. It is Ground Forces General Wayne. Saki can't make a move on him until they gather more evidence. Hawk suddenly pushes the spy out of the way. A sniper almost shot him. The spy uses this opportunity to flee. He heads through the hotel where Saki cuts him off and tries to stop him. He gets loose, and just like he did at Ellsworth, he once again takes the colonel as a hostage. He begins running his mouth, and before he gives up General Wayne, he is shot. Saki quickly asks him, what is General Wayne's aim? Saki tells him, it is you. The spy dies. The old commander goes in to destroy the GM Striker when his Zaku is destroyed. It causes Yuji to fly off. Whee! The art direction is so weird in this scene that I don't really understand how the explosion goes off. I assume it is his reactive armor mixed with him overheating while the Zaku strikes him with the Heat Hawk. But it just shows a close-up of the Zaku, then boom, explosion. What happened? The two soldiers who wanted to flee and surrender earlier are in a Zaku tank cannon type and realize their commander just got himself killed for no reason. The MS-06V Zaku tank cannon type is Hajime Kotoki's design. It is also probably what we saw in Requiem for Vengeance. Like mentioned before, everyone has a unique take on the Zaku tank variant. This is equipped with a 180mm cannon, a 6.2 missile launcher on the front of the tank, a 3-barrel 35mm machine cannon, and it can hold any weapon a Zaku 2 could hold. It also has claw arms. They try to shoot at Yuji to avenge their commander. One of these dorks lied to the other, stating that he never shot down a single enemy, but this will be different. This was not different, as they are instantly destroyed by an incoming GM. The GM destroys all of the remaining Zakus but one. The GM then dabs in celebration. Wait, really? It dabs? Was dabbing big in Japan? The last remaining Zaku charges the GM and he takes it out with ease. His team, consisting of the Gun Tank 2 and the Gun Cannon 2, stand behind him. We talked about the Gun Tank 2 during Unicorn, but we haven't talked about the Gun Cannon 2. The RX-77-4 Gun Cannon 2 is built off of the Gun Cannon Heavy Custom. The beam cannon is on the right shoulder and isn't as top heavy as the previous shell round version. It also doesn't have to carry shell rounds anymore, reducing weight. This makes this unit surprisingly mobile for a heavy unit. Weapons include Vulcan guns, a beam cannon, the XBR M79A beam rifle, a 100mm machine gun, and the Fire Nut grenades. Fire Nut. The team gets out to meet the Nemesis team. They are the Slipner team under Commander Captain Sean Cassidy. Yuji is still beaten up over Doug's death. That is when Old Mole Lady comes over and tells him that she could resurrect her friend for at least 7,000. But she initially asks for 100K. What'd it be? That is when a Gunperry pilot, Eagle Rock, brings two men who saw her scam the director. The director happens to be alive and was only mislabeled as KIA. He was only unconscious. They expose Mole Lady for the fraud that she is, and they take her away. Yuji goes back to being sad. His GM Striker is also totaled, but Tara returns from Seattle. He is going to try to fix it regardless. He and his team go to work. Yuji tells Tara of a time when he tried to dress up and scare people on Halloween, but it didn't work. Tara said that he actually did it when he was a kid as well. The two bond and cheer themselves up. The next day, they have it all fixed up. Yuji gets into the gym and starts it up, and we get nothing. That is when Seattle 50th Weapons. Oh god, that face is so scary. Don't do that. I'm trying to introduce you. Seattle's 50th Weapons Management Department 2nd Lieutenant Rhonda Dean. She is here to pick up all the immobilized mobile suits. She efficiently starts picking up the junk gems with a crane. Leg thrusters are fine. The nuclear reactor is fine. What is the problem with the Striker? Yuji realizes the frame is bent and causing the electronics running through the frame to short out. It can be fixed, but it looks like they have about 5 minutes before it becomes junk. Rhonda wants Eddie to sign for the junking of the Striker. She walks over and goes, "Oh no, I tripped and twisted my ankle." Rhonda rushes over to her and tells her to sign. She goes, "Oh no, I twisted my wrist." They force her against her will to sign the document. Yuji uses the tiki that Doug gave him for good luck and wedges it in between the frame. The Weapons Management Department tells Tara and Yuji to get out of the mobile suit. They try one more time, but it still doesn't start. The Nemesis team looks on sad as the Weapons Management Department takes the Gem Striker. Angry at the mobile suit, Yuji throws a rock at the unit. Tink! The mobile suit starts up and stands. It is working. They allow Yuji and the Nemesis team to keep the gem. Doug is still helping the team out even after passing. Since Hawk isn't there, Tara gives the words of wisdom for the day. A mechanic's job is to fix both pilot and machine. Yuji throws a rock at Tara's head and tells him to grow some hair on his chest before spouting wisdom. Choppers come to their location. They think it is the Major returning, but EFF soldiers surround them at gunpoint. They inform them that Saki and Hawk have been arrested under suspicion of being spies, and as such, all Nemesis members will be treated likewise. Meanwhile, Zeon officer Manartha Aja is riling up the troops in the name of Garmazabi. He wears a ninja mask, similar to Kaisilia Zabi. As long as there is a symbol for the people to rally around, the masses can be easily swayed. After the death of Garmazabi, rumors started popping up of him surviving. This reinvigorated those in North America. California base became a hotbed for guerrilla warfare. Hill Army Base in Utah. Major Saki Desao's court-martial begins. They want to know why he took the Zeon prisoner and suspect him of being a spy. Commodore Dunamo stands trial and claims that he would have approved his missions if Saki asked. Peter Ford is a part of the tribunal. They try to claim that the Nemesis Corps is also working with the ghosts of Garmazabi Corps. Colonel Smith testifies and states he saw the Gem Striker and Zaku 6 FS working together. Eddie tells Yuji that this is not a court-martial. They plan on erasing them and the Nemesis team. The Gunperry pilot, Lieutenant Rock, also lies and says Yuji prevented him from helping on the battlefield. Saki explains that he brought the spy and faked an ID to find the spy. He also states that the room that they were in was all set up by Colonel Ford. The reason he knew about the nuclear facilities at Ellsworth is that he knew that it was a diversion to attain and destroy a data file. Because of Zeon's access to this diversion, this is where his suspicions of an informant first came into play. Saki calls to the stand Jean. You remember Jean, who left the Nemesis team after Vancouver? Saki sent him on a mission to uncover the spy. Jean shows the tribunal a picture of an old man. They say that this man is Tara, the real Tara. They explain this is why him being gone on repairs times up with the attacks by the ghosts of Garmazabi. Ford doesn't believe the story and wants to proceed with capital punishment. That is when the base is attacked. Chaos ensues in the courtroom. Tara seems to have escaped. They wonder what they should do. Saki says that they have been deceived and it seems capital punishment is inevitable. He wants to uncover the truth. Hawk stands by the Major's side, but Yuji runs off on his own. As he is running, he hears his name. It is Tara next to the Gem Striker. Yuji's Striker is good to go, but can he trust Tara's repairs? He tries to convince him that he isn't a Zeke and to remember the time they repaired the mobile suit together. Yuji sorties to protect the base for now. Eddie wonders if Saki knew this would happen. He says that he merely planned for a worst-case scenario. They run into Magella attack tanks. The team heads to the Medea. The masked man leads the Zeon forces and takes out one gym. He is trying to draw out the zombie. Peter Ford and the higher-ups are trying to get a handle on everything. They notice that there is a radio signal coming from the Nemesis team's Medea. A goof approaches the Medea with 2 Zakus. As the goof attacks soldiers on the ground, Yuji comes to defend. The masked man knows that the Striker Gundam has high mobility for a short amount of time. Eddie is concerned that Yuji is going to overheat once again. Yuji goes in for the boost and successfully takes out the Zakus. Eddie wonders how he was able to do that. Hawk notes that he didn't just max out the thrusters, which causes him to overheat. He increases the thrusters little by little, not causing his mobile suit to overheat, and while still keeping its mobility. Also, after jumping in, he begins begins bobbing and weaving before attacking. Remember, Yuji's fighting style in a mobile suit resembles his expert boxing skills. He jumps in, bobs and weaves, and attacks, and repeats this over and over again. Hawk says that today's words of wisdoms are, "He who finds a swift stallion is a lucky man." As the Medea tries to take off, EFF stops the Nemesis team and tells them to surrender. Eddie begins takeoff, but they aren't going to make it. Suddenly, a blast takes out the GMs, blocking the Medea. It is the Garmazabi custom. The Medea is able to take off as Yuji faces off against the Zaku, but it doesn't fight. Suddenly, Tara runs out and gets into the Zaku. He is indeed the mole and the pilot of the Garmazabi custom. Yuji is in disbelief. The Zeon remnants take off. Yuji heads into the hangar where he sees that Lieutenant Rock is still alive. He apologizes for lying in the courtroom, but now is not the time for that, as gems surround the hangar. EFF calls for Yuji to come back to the courtroom and they could all talk. But Yuji and Rock launches in the Lightliner. The Lightliner is a subflight system very similar to the Corvette booster and resembles a hang glider. It has a canopy-top cockpit. The wings can fold in for easy transport. They take off, leaving the gems confused. They catch up to the Garmazabi custom with Zaku escorts on Dodais. Yuji says, "This one's for you, Doug," and then he kicks the Zaku off the Dodai. The other two Dodais rush ahead, but they find themselves in front of the Slipner Corps. One thing I didn't point out last time was that Sean Cassidy is piloting a GEM light armor. The RGM-79L GM light armor is the product of ace pilots wanting mobile suits or specific needs. This was made alongside the GEM Sniper Custom. The beam rifle has the ability to critically damage a mobile suit with one blast. Since that is the case, why have all that armor? So they stripped most of the armor and took the Char Aznavour approach of simply not getting hit. It is equipped with a beam saber, a custom beam rifle, a beam spray gun with a 1.4 megawatt output, and a shield. The team's mission is to capture the Garmazabi Zaku. Tara uses the Dodai to bombard the team with missiles. The gun tank 2 fires. The Sleipnir team is very coordinated. They use the gun tank to fire long range and force the Zakus off the Dodais. The gun cannon then fires and pushes them towards the edge of the forest, where Sean, in the GM light armor, attacks at short range. Tara thinks he has the upper hand, but the GM light armor is swift. He throws the Heat Hawk, but Sean is nimble and dodges. He is able to take out the Zaku's arm and disable the unit. Sleipnir surrounds Tara. He unleashes a smoke discharge and holds the gun tank hostage. It gets heated and the gun tank pilot tells Sean to take the hit. That is when Yuji drops from the Lightliner and demands that Tara answer all his questions. But the Sleipnir team fires on the Zaku. He tells them to stop and pulls Tara out of the cockpit. The Gundam tells Yuji to stand down, as they know they have been labeled deserters. The gun cannon goes in to arrest Yuji and Tara, but Yuji does a sweet shoulder throw. He says that Tara is a traitor, but he still is a friend, and the Nemesis team must be the one to interrogate him for their case. Sean isn't having any of it and demands that they hand over Tara. Yuji places Tara down, though he looks pretty busted already. Sean says he will finish this in less than a minute. We got ourselves a countdown fight, but joke's on you because this is a manga and I read slow. Now who has the last laugh? Lieutenant Rock is watching from afar. He wants to help, but there isn't any weapons on the Lightliner. That is when Hawk approaches him. By the way, I would totally watch a buddy cop style Gundam show around these two, and you could call it the Hawk and the Rock. That's a free idea, Sunrise. Have at it. Hawk notes that Yuji is getting better. On the last attack, he actually used his boosters to barely miss Sean's beam saber, even though he fell on his ass. The gun tank and the gun cannon wants to help, but this is now a duel for some reason. At Hillground Force's base, Ford believes that Saki will bluff and try to get them to chase them to Augusta Labs, where he will try to read their moves. General Wayne wants to put Ford in charge of an ambush unit. Ford doesn't think that Saki is a traitor, but he is faithful to the chain of command. Wayne tells Ford to work with Cortez. He is the one who ended up shooting the spy last time. Yuji's booster goes out and he loses speed. Sean takes out the Gem Striker's arm. All that he has left is the spike shield. As Sean comes in for the final attack, Yuji uses his booster and stabs the spike shield into the ground. This allows the striker to rotate, and he kicks the GM light armor. Sean wasn't able to take down Yuji in a minute. Sean likes that he found someone strong to fight. But then Hawk comes in to help out Yuji. The gun cannon pilot is afraid of him and refers to him as Hawk of the East. During Zeon's landing operation, he and Sean, known as the Dragon of the West, were two unbeatable forces. They all have a standoff. When the masked Zeon commander and a Wappa swiftly comes in and grabs Tara, and the two make their escape. Sean says that this is just like what happened in Florida. Hawk says, "Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was thinking about some titties I saw in Florida." Later, the Sleipnir team is transporting the Garmazaku for evidence when they are suddenly attacked. It happens to be the mysterious gem sniper that destroyed the Juwagu after the departure ceremony. The Nemesis team meets up with the Medea and resupplies. They have to buy supplies from the locals, since they are on the run. Yuji and Hawk argue about his words of wisdoms, while Yuji drinks a mam cola. Later that night, Yuji runs into Saki. He is quiet at first, but he mentions that he was at his last year's Rookie of the Year fight. He says that his tenacity during the fight is what made Saki want Yuji to join the Nemesis team. They wonder why Tara would boost morale of Zeon so late in the game. Saki wonders if the Zaku came from the Federation. Victory is in sight, and there are many strategies to end a war. But it seems EFF is split between two powers. EFSF wants to end the war with one swift strike, but EFGF wants to prolong the war. This is because they want to solidify resources and ensure power in a post-war world. The prolonging of the war is due to General Wayne. He may be using the Garmazabi Zaku to prolong the war even further. But if their goal was simply to sow chaos, why infiltrate the Nemesis Corps? After Saki sent off Jean, Eddie informed them of the Medea 511 crew that was completely wiped out with the exception of Tara. That was his first suspicion. After that, they went to Ellsworth Base, where Zeon stole a data drive that had locations of Zeon bases. This could have helped end the war faster, and it conveniently was taken and destroyed. After that, it was clear a conspiracy is afoot. He said that he made two mistakes. The first mistake was trusting Ford. However, he doesn't believe that this is Ford's fault. He is just a political pawn. At the Grand Canyon, the Zeon spy was taken out by a sniper that was never found, which means at both Ellsworth Base and the Grand Canyon, a sniper was following them around. His second mistake was splitting up the Nemesis Corps, which allowed Tara to boost up Zeon troops. Tara most likely has supplies from Augusta on standby. He then switches over to help Zeon fight, and then comes back with supplies, none the wiser. That means that Augusta Labs also has a spy. Augusta is huge, so who knows who it could be. Yuji says that Tara is a disgrace to the Federation, but Saki thinks that he is a Zeon soldier. It seems that a Zeon soldier took a Zeon soldier prisoner. Just another thing they don't have all the pieces to. The masked Zeon soldier doesn't get any details from Tara or what his real name is. He calls Tara a midget, and Tara proceeds to slice his legs and threatens to make him his height. He slices up his face and tells him he is his henchman now. Returning to Augusta is too risky, so they intend to go directly to Vice Admiral Traberton. He, along with Rebel, want to end the war swiftly. They head to the Mojave Desert. As they head out, they get a signal from the enemy. As they prep to leave, Jean notices a beam blast from afar. He is able to dodge the attack, but it kills some civilians helping out their crew. They realize it is a sniper from afar. Jean runs into the Medea and grabs his GM Sniper Custom 2. The RGM 79SP GM Sniper 2 is a sniper variant based off of the GM Command. This was one of the last GM units created during the 1 Year War. It was also one of the most advanced gems of its time. Its specialized head visor has built-in compound sensors. The special built-in compound sensor uses laser sensors, powerful zoom cameras, and image stabilization for precision and long-range targeting. This unit's specs are superior to the Gundam and can stand up against a Gelgoog. This was developed late into the war, and its production costs were extremely high. Although it never went into mass production, this would go on to inspire parts of the Nemo. Weapons include a Vulcan pod gun, a beam saber, a 75mm sniper rifle, the 90mm bulb-up machine gun, and pretty much any weapon used by a GM. He heads out to take care of the sniper. Jean heads out in the GM Sniper Custom 2 along with Hawk. Eddie, Yuji, and Rock are loading their light liner. Hawk will be the bait and his GM and lure out the sniper, while Jean covers him. This seems to be the two's MO as they go into formation without saying a word to one another. The sniper shoots, revealing himself to Hawk, but he moves out of sight instantly. His shield is done for, but the GM is undamaged. The Medea takes off. Hawk knows that the sniper's target is the Medea and not the mobile suits. Cortez, General Wayne's lapdog, happens to be the enemy sniper. As Hawk looks for him, Cortez comes out of the lake and takes Hawk hostage. As the two grapple, the Medea shows itself, and Cortez jumps towards the Medea. Jean snipes and misses him. Saki finally allows Yuji to launch. Hawk eats up all his thrusters and jumps above the sniper. He unleashes the Nemesis secret technique, Sun Drop. He attacks in front of the sun, blinding Cortez. He barely is able to block Hawk's beam saber. As the two drop back to Earth, they engage in close combat. Hawk realizes this guy is a melee master. Jean has a 30-second cooldown on his sniper rifle and is just waiting. Jean exposes himself and Cortez mocks him for being a bad sniper. He shoots at Jean, but Yuji blocks his attack. Jean uses Yuji's shoulder as a bipod. His rifle is recharged. He takes aim and fires, taking out Cortez. The three jump onto the Medea, and the team heads out. Last episode, Jean was nice to a little girl and her family, who was just vaporized by Cortez. The little girl looks at the crispy remains of her parents. Jean realizes he is not the kind of person who could save people, but he knows that Yuji is that person. Also, they didn't kill the pilot. They just took out its legs, so naturally, Cortez is still alive. In a big Trey-class ship, Commander Traberton is looking at the battle data of Mudrock Gundam and Blue Destiny, who are causing damage in North America. We have covered some of Blue Destiny, but Mudrock is from the PS2 video game Zeonic Front. They are certain that they will take over California base soon. He mentions that the Zeon staff officer has an injured daughter. Tara and Manarantha Aja make it back to the remains of the Zeonic Front. Tara happens to run into a blinded young woman. This is the staff officer's daughter. Aja talks to the staff officer to try to get them to help his fake Garmazabi unit, but he isn't believing any of it. Of course, Tara thought this would happen. Last episode, Eddie thought Rock was gay. Eddie tells him to not be jealous of her putting bandages on the Major. Rock once again tells her he isn't gay. They get a red alert. 2 core boosters approach the Medea. Mobile suits will be useless against fighters in their current situation. Rock goes out in the light liner, while the others back him up. Rock feels a great sense of camaraderie amongst the Nemesis Corps. Meanwhile, Ford and his team are waiting at Augusta Labs. Rock is able to take out one of the fighters. Another goes in and attacks the Medea, but Rock uses anti-air weapons. Also, I guess they added a bunch of weapons to the light liner, as this didn't have any weapons last time. We get a flashback of Eddie and Rock talking about his namesake as a Native American. He gives her a feather. An Indian with a feather. Keep playing the hits, Sunrise. He says when he gets back, he has something to prove to Eddie. Is he going to try to have sex with Eddie just to prove he isn't gay? I respect that. The Nemesis team shoots at the fighter from the back of the Medea. The core booster turns around, but another fighter is heading their direction. The core booster almost runs into a G-armor that storms onto the battlefield. We go into details about the G-armor in our OG coverage, but it is the product of rearranging Gundam A parts and B parts and integrating them with the core fighter to create a new unit. However, you do need an RX-78 Gundam to form the G-armor. Which Gundam is this? It fires its mega particle gun. Yuji tells Rock to turn the light liner quickly. He jumped out of the Medea and is falling towards Rock. He turns just in time for the striker to grab the light liner. Yuji goes into attack with the double beam spear, but the Gundam's arm blocks the attack. Traberton and the Zeon staff officer meet. They're going to bring this war to an end with this peace negotiation. Of course, Tara and Aja are gathering their armies to prevent the war from ending. As their negotiation continues, a Zanzibar approaches. Tara convinced his men to kamikaze to prevent the negotiations. Yuji and Rock catch up to the G-armor. Suddenly, they witness the explosion from the Zanzibar. The Gundam emerges from the G-armor. It is Gundam Pixie. Gundam Pixie is a close quarters combat unit that we covered in our Missing Link coverage. Go give that a watch. But it is a close combat beast. The two go in for the attack, but Gundam Pixie takes out the light liner. Yuji falls while yelling out to Rock. December 15th, UC0079. The team hasn't realized that the only person who could clear their name just went up in flames. They don't have time to worry about that because they are being attacked by a Gundam. Rock is barely able to attain lift, but he is alive. The Pixie isn't paying attention to Rock. He tells Hawk to distract him while he goes in. Pixie Gundam heads towards the belly of the Medea. They think they are done for, but Rock pulls a Ryu Jose and crashes into the G-armor. Pixie falls off. Hawk knew this would happen. He tells Yuji that a man should not stop a comrade that accepted his fate. At Augusta, Ford thinks he's seen Tara somewhere before. He asks his daughter Sherry to send some files to Augusta. He's going to figure this out for Saki's sake. As the Medea circles the Zanzibar explosion, Saki gets a hold of Don Mel. He was outside of the perimeter, but Traberton is most likely dead. That is when the fake Garmazabi sends an open message to everyone, claiming that this isn't an end for Zeon and that they intend to drop one more Zanzibar. Saki tells the Medea crew, now that Traberton is dead, it seems that they must use force to take back California base. The MS crew heads out and give it their all. This will most likely be their last battle. They must protect their 200,000 comrades from the invasion force. That is when Pixie Gundam makes his appearance. It happens to be Cortez. He says he has been waiting for this day since the Rookie of the Year fight. The two engage in battle. He has been obsessed with fighting him since that moment. As they battle, the Garmazabi Zeon forces move in. Pixie Gundam slices through the Zaku's and kills one man slowly. Yuji is certain this guy is a psychopath. They keep fighting, but Cortez says he still isn't there yet. He hasn't reached the same level he saw when he was a boxer. Hawk and Jean come in to assist. The three work together to try to take down the Gundam. Jean and Hawk do the Nemesis Special Technique 48, the Hawk Flight Combo Dance. Hawk recognizes that the Gundam isn't after the Medea. It is going after Yuji. As they fight, the Slipner team comes in to assist. All 5 mobile suits move in to take on the Gundam. The fanboy gun tank pilot mentions that the Hawk of the West and the Dragon of the East coming together is a miracle. Saki picks up Dunmel. We learn that both of them were a part of the Sherman Party. This was the party created under Saki's professor, who was assassinated. This party's ideals were based off of a mutual understanding between Earth and space. Dunmel knows the professor's ideals will never become a reality, but for General Wayne to profit off of extending the war is unacceptable. They have to take him down. Dunmel was also responsible for the formation of the Nemesis Corps. The Zeon retreat party began invading the Garmazabi unit. One captain demands to know if they were responsible for getting the staff officer killed. The Zanzibars were to get Zeon back to Side 3, but the Garma forces are dead set on dying for their cause. All hell breaks loose, and they kill the captain. Outside, the Garma forces fight against the retreat party forces, as Yuji steals a Dodai from a Zaku to go help the Major. The Slipner and Nemesis team are taken out by the Gundam. All that remains is the Guntank 2 pilot, well, for about like 10 more seconds. Yuji wasn't able to make it to the center of the base to protect the Major. He is going to have to force his way through. The staff officer's daughter learns that her father was killed by Garmazabi. She met him when young and feels betrayed by this information. She grabs a valve and heads towards the explosion. What's that gonna do? General Wayne is mad that Zeon is dropping another Zanzibar. That is when Dunmel comes claiming to have the Nemesis team as prisoners. We learn that Tara's true intentions is nothing but pure chaos for all of humanity. He gets word of a mobile suit fighting its way into the base. It is Yuji. He wants to take him on by himself, but Tara says he doesn't have any friends. Oh snap, here comes a flashback. Tara was always bullied on Side 3 as he emigrated from Earth. His father said that Zeon would accept them, but Tara never was treated as an equal. Then a man came to him and wanted his help in bridging the gap between Earthnoids and Spacenoids. But Tara soon learned that he was just another one of someone's conspiracy. He says he is neither Zeon or Earthnoid. The world turned its back on him. He says that he could have placed a bomb in their mobile suits at any time, but Tara never did. If he believes that Yuji is not a friend, then Tara should kill him right now. That is when the little blind girl comes over and says, "Did you kill my dad, Garma?" Not really the best time, little girl. Tara goes in to kill Yuji, but he is attacked from behind. It is Gundam Pixie. The Gundam knocks over Tara's Zaku. He gets up and realizes that he accidentally crushed and killed the little blind girl. Yuji realizes that if he is here, that means Jean and Hawk have been taken out. The two battle. Cortez in the Gundam tells Yuji that he is the only man that can get him off, in the manner of fighting, though I'm pretty sure in a sexual manner as well. Once he found out that he was assigned to the Nemesis Corps, he was his only mission. Yuji sheds his Choban armor to become a regular old Type C gym. As this is a fight, think of this as the moment in shonen anime where the fighter takes off his weighted armor to speed up. His speed is indeed insane. Yuji bobs and weaves as he dodges the beam blades. The two punch each other. Hey, that is also a shonen anime trope. He is able to break the Gundam's hand and smashes the unit apart. Yuji goes in for one final uppercut. Cortez says that this was a good battle and a great way to die. I'm not sure if Cortez self-destructs or Yuji sets off the core, but a giant explosion goes off. However, the zombie gym still stands. Saki and Dunmel barge into General Wayne's office. They didn't stop him, so they know why they are here. General Wayne did indeed try to murder them, but now that there is a second Zanzibar in play, he is done extending this war and assumes all command to Saki to end this operation. Wayne will still clear the Nemesis team's name, but Saki demands to know his plan first. Yuji tries to get Tara to get him to stop the Zanzibar by pretending to be Garma. As Garma, he has the power to end this. He refuses, but it doesn't matter because the Zanzibar launches. Wayne tells Saki why he threw the Nemesis team under the bus. Wayne knew that if EF Space Forces invaded Side 3 and ended the war, then all power and funding would go to EF-SF and not EF-GF. Nemesis is a part of EF Space Forces and are considered the best of the best. If word got out that Garmazabi returned and was able to destroy the Nemesis team, this would bolster morale for the Zeon troops and continue the fight, along with making the ground forces look better than the space forces. The Crash Medea at the beginning of the series was a way to plant Tara. The reason all the crew members were erased was to hide the fact that Tara assumed the real Tara's identity. Him having them attack Ellsworth Base was a risky move, however. They were able to hide their tracks by destroying the data drive, so it was worth it. Ultimately, having them continue the war while making EFSF look bad. Sometime in UC 0080, you would swoop in, shut down Zeon, and look like the hero. Once Yuji captures Tara, this will be confirmed. Wayne threatens to drop the Zanzibar on all of them. But Dunmel says, yeah, screw that, pulls out a gun, and shoots General Wayne. Dunmel blames his death on Saki and points a gun at the Major's face. He is a part of the conspiracy as well. Saki said that he had a suspicion and says that there was always a darkness around the formation of the Nemesis Corps. Saki is too smart for his own good. He is just following the professor's ideals of cooperation between Earthnoids and Spacenoids. Dunmel says that it isn't about cooperation, but rather an economic cooperation that would be free of Earth. In a post-war world, Earth would rely on the help of Spacenoids to rebuild. Hey, wait a minute, this is just Full Frontal's plan. Saki says that Spacenoids oppressing Earth is no different than Earthnoids oppressing Spacenoids. That is exactly what Minerva said to Full Frontal. This manga was ahead of its time. Dunmel shoots at Saki, who dodges, but it hits Eddie, who was standing behind him. That is when security breaks in. Saki was mic'd, and the entire time the ship heard that he killed General Wayne. Captain Ejiba assumes control of the ship, and they try to capture Dunmel. He runs away right as the ship goes into red alert. The Zanzibar is planning to hit at their location. Saki goes to chase onto the deck of the big Trey class. Dunmel tells Saki he doesn't have the balls to kill him, and he is the reason that the professor died. That is when Yuji and the GM grabs Dunmel. He brought back Tara with him. Everyone says, wait a minute, what about the Zanzibar? Isn't it about to drop? Yuji says, yeah, about that. Turns out there was a civil war at California Base, and the retreat team defeated the Garmazabi team and used the Zanzibar to head back to Side 3 instead. Everyone celebrates. They begin preparation to finish off California Base. Dunmel says that his mistake was Saki being too smart for his own good. But he is wrong. Dunmel's mistake was Saki meeting Yuji. EF ground forces finally take control of California Base. 10 days later, the war ended with the Battle of Abawaku, February, UC 0080. In North America, many gather for the trial of the ghost of Garmazabi. He is still getting used to his comrades being killed in action. He enters the break room to see Hawk, John, and Rock playing video games. How are they alive? Who cares? They're alive. Some people have to live in this series. Not everyone has to die. It is kind of weird though. They all watch as they drag Tara out for his trial. Everyone yells at him. Yuji goes to Tara when suddenly the little blind girl pulls a gun on Tara. She is also alive. She blames Tara for the death of her father and shoots at him, but it hits Yuji. Saki comes to his side as Yuji bleeds out. This is exactly the same situation that happened with his professor in the past. But Yuji gets up and calms everyone down. He says that he is still alive and is able to prevent the crowd from turning into a mob. Everyone who once believed in the professor's ideals are gone. But Saki realizes that his ideals still live in the people like Yuji. Yuji collapses, and they quickly get him to the hospital. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam, We Are Federation Hooligans. This was a pretty amazing manga. It struck the right balance of silly and serious, while at the same time still being very engaging. The only thing that might not work for people is the artwork, but I find it hilarious and well suited for this run. If you are a fan of the video game lore and love seeing MS variations in action, this one won't let you down. However, this won't be the last time we see the GM Striker. Eventually, we will cover Mobile Suit Gundam Katana, where we see the Striker Custom in action by its new pilot, Ito Tsurugi. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, the plan in Hooligans was better than the plan in Unicorns. Fight me. Peace. What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and before we dive into Mobile Suit Gundam Katana, we are going to cover the side story, Mobile Suit Gundam Akai, 2,250 miles across North America. In this story, we follow two brothers. Norton and Birdie are Akai pilots who lose their chance to leave the Earth. Now they must travel across the entirety of North America to make it back to California Base. So let's get into this. Two brothers are walking across the continent in an Akai. One brother is smoking a cigar while the other chastises him for smoking. They have a long journey ahead of them. This is Norton and Birdie Kisano. 3 days earlier, December 4th, UC 0079, Cape Canaveral, Florida. Their Jukon is going down. Aqua Gems begin retreating. They came to this base to find HLVs to make the retreat, but found the base overran with EFF soldiers. Later, some soldiers come yelling at Birdie and Norton about letting the Jukon get destroyed. They plan on taking the Yak guys, and the brothers can take the HLV back into space. They were stationed in New York, or as it's referred to in Gundam, New York, and came down to the eastern coast after their gal was shot down. The next day, they prep for launch in the HLV when Aqua Gems begin attacking the base again. Norton heads into the hangar to get into the Yak guy. He notices that they haven't launched yet. The sergeant tells him to get back to the HLV, but he and his brother are the only ones skilled enough to pilot the Yak guy. One thing to note is that Norton refers to the Yak guy as a kappa. This is a mythical frog beast in Japanese culture. You can't argue the design of the Yak guy is based on the kappa, but I don't know if it has ever been stated by the production team. The Gems keep jumping out of the water, shooting, and diving back down. All the Zaku's on the shoreline are becoming cannon fodder. The brothers sacrifice heading home to protect their comrades. Sarge whips out a rocket launcher and does damage on the ground while the brothers protect the Zaku's. The HLV launches, but the Aqua Gems were just a distraction. EFF destroys the HLV. After the battle, the remaining fleet attempts to make their way to California. The commander orders them to head out on foot to California base to support the rear guard to prevent any water-based attacks. They will then make it to Lieutenant Ian Graydon's base. This is a 2,250-mile journey. Norton coughs from his cigar, and the two brothers begin their journey. Birdie is trying to figure out where they currently are. Norton tells him to give it up as he believes that they have been abandoned. They are starting to get hungry. That is when they stumble onto a Samson carrying a Magella attack tank. I love the Samson. They were retreating and got left behind because they got stuck in a ditch. The Ak guys give the Samson a lift. They offer the brothers a ride and feed them. They should be able to catch up to the rear in about a day. They make another stop and they start playing baseball. The Samson commander picked it up while on Earth and asks Birdie to play with them. He doesn't want to play a sport created by Earth imperialists. If baseball still exists, there is no way people on the colonies don't know what it is. He sees Norton playing catch. Birdie seems to be the idealistic one preaching that they shouldn't adopt Earth's cultures. But he and his team are about having fun even up until the moment of death. Blatant foreshadowing, rude. That is when they spot enemies. They get into the Ak guys and their Magella attack tank. Deprogs and Fly Mantas are flying over. The Magella attack top flies into action. Birdie just looks up and goes, "What are we supposed to do about this? We are amphibious mobile suits, we can't do anything." Norton looks on the ground to find a boulder. He chucks it up into the air and actually hits a Fly Manta. Birdie thinks it was a lucky shot. A squad of Deprogs come in for a bombing run. The Magella goes in and gets hit. Norton saves the Magella top and helps the pilot escape. They hide in the rocks as bombs come down around them. The Magella base is taken out, killing the Samson crew. The Magella top pilot was also taken out in the bombing run. After learning of the game of baseball, Norton grabs the downed Magella top and another boulder. He uses the Magella like a baseball bat and hits the rock up in the air. He is able to take out the Deprogs. Birdie buries the Samson crew along with their baseball bat. Norton finds the main forces over the hill. Unfortunately, they have all been taken out. There is nothing left for the two brothers but to continue walking. They still have 2,000 miles to go. The two continue on through North America. Norton is at his breaking point. He says, "That's it, I quit. I'm an Earth citizen now." He gets out of his Ak guy and just runs away. Not too far away is a woman trying to get to the next town, but an old couple finds her to be a little bit shady. Norton comes over pretending to be her girlfriend so they can get directions. Her name is Ginny. She is a wandering dancer. Birdie is all alone when he spots 3 enemies approaching. Norton goes into the town where Ginny does a little breakdancing. That is when a gem and a gun tank come rolling in. This gun tank has a weird head. What's wrong with your head? This town has recently rebuilt and is trying to stay out of conflict. But the townfolk still have to work with the EFF occupiers. Norton gets on the Wappa and draws them away while Ginny runs away. As he heads back to the Ak guys, EFF lays waste to the city. The two head into town to take out the Fetties. The gun tank fires its cannon towards the Ak guys, vaporizing the townfolk, including Ginny. The Gems knock down Norton, but remembering Ginny's sick moves, he begins breakdance fighting in the Ak guy. He breaks the Gem into pieces. He then uses those sweet moves on the gun tank, destroying the unit. Norton realizes that there is no place for him on Earth. He experienced love and loss in less than a few hours. The two brothers continue toward California base. They have 1,800 miles to go. The brothers stumble onto some crates and pillage all the food, but they are once again running low on sustenance. They also happen to find a riding whip. That is when a wild horse comes up to them. Norton doesn't like that Earth allows animals to roam free. He points his gun at it and says he is going to eat it. The horse reminds Norton of Sorma. We flash back to November of UC-0079 at California base. The brothers are running tests for an upcoming attack on Jaburo. They are testing the Agai, the Juagu, and the Zogok. Norton finds these mobile suits quite ugly. That is when Commander Sorma Johansson comes riding up on a horse. He is going to be the pilot of the Agai and is their trump card for Jaburo. This is all before Char uses his trump card and breaks into Jaburo himself. Johansson comes from a family of one of the rich Zeon elites. Norton approaches the horse, and the horse says, "I will kill you." Johansson in the Agai preps the mock battle with Norton. Johansson plays with him, but he underestimates Norton. He is able to get a hit on the Nepo baby, but Johansson still gets the upper hand. He hangs the Agai. After the match, he lets the horse go and says that tame horses are no fun. The two will battle once again. In the present, they wonder if Johansson ever made it to Jaburo, or if he went back into space. They won't know until they make it to California. They continue walking. Norton nearly throws up drinking a Mam Cola. He doesn't understand how Earthnoids drink it. Little does he know that Earthnoids also hate it. It is just Yuji who likes it. They can't be picky right now as supplies are low. Norton is once again complaining and asks how much further. As Birdie answers, Norton says, "I don't want to know." They stumble onto a Komsai and some friendlies. A man calls out to Norton. It is his friend Hassan. They were friends in high school and he seems to know Birdie as well. They hear that Commander Garma may still be alive and is rallying troops in California. They don't think it is really Garma, but it is worth a shot. Of course, we know that this is Tara pretending to be Garmazabi from our Hooligans coverage. With Hassan's team is Lieutenant Aja, the masked Zeon soldier who was Tara's proxy. He says that the two could probably hitch a ride back to California base with them. They are relieved. Hassan mentions bowling. The two were apparently great bowlers back in the day. He mentions a Christmas tree, which in bowling is getting a spare with the 3, 7, 10 pins. Also, you guys know about bowling but not baseball? Suddenly, Type 61 tanks come towards the Komsai. He tells the Komsai to take off. Lieutenant Aja is in a Samson near the Komsai, trying to handle anti-air support. The Akais do their best to allow the Komsai to get away, but they run out of ammo. There are still 3 Type 61 tanks left. One of them hits the Komsai, taking it out. Norton takes his brother's Agai and rolls him like a bowling ball, and gets the Christmas tree spare, taking out the remaining tanks. Norton knew that Hassan always carried his bowling ball. He finds the ball and puts it next to Hassan's gravesite. The two brothers continue on to California base. They have finally made it into Zeon territory. They have to push towards California base headquarters. Their location might not remain Zeon territory for too long as the Federation is pushing back on the North American front. They are taking out Zeon one by one. Norton refers to it as being like whack-a-mole. Pressure underground begins building up. Suddenly an explosion goes off. It is huge. They initially think it is a nuke at first. This is the Zanzibar explosion that terrorists set off during the events of Hooligans. Shots go off around them. In the distance is a gun tank 2, a gun cannon 2, and the gym light armor. It is the Slipner team. Peace talks were happening here. Then suddenly an explosion goes off and everyone is gone. The Slipner team believes it was the Akai's doing. Suhan goes in to attack Norton. He holds his own for a moment, but the GM light armor is too fast. Birdie tries to protect Norton and gets his arm ripped off. The two Akais go underground, forcing EFF to play a literal game of whack-a-mole. They mess with the Slipner team when they get a message from Hawk in the Nemesis Corps. They head to their location and let the two Akais survive for now. The two continue walking to California base. They continue forward when Birdie's Akai finally gives out. They are now down to one Akai. That is when they notice a graveyard of EFF mobile suits, including the gem light armor from the Slipner Corps. They notice survivors. It is Hawk and John. In Hooligans, we assume they were dead, and they just mysteriously showed up at the end for comedic effect. Here we see the Hyena Squad come to rescue the Nemesis and Slipner teams. It still doesn't explain how they survived fighting Gundam Pixie, but whatever. The Hyenas are rocking Gem Strikers. Rather than letting the two pass, they begin fighting. The Sleipner team recognizes these are the Akais they ran into before. Birdie is still a sitting rock and is Akai. Norton begins boxing one. One striker destroys Birdie's Akai, but he was able to escape. He runs towards Hawk. This takes out one of the gyms. Norton hides behind the downed gun tank 2. He gets into the gym. He could still use his sniper rifle. He shoots at Norton, and the Akai is engulfed in flames. That is when his Akai flies into the air. Hawk realizes that he is using the Nemesis secret technique, Sundrop. We see Hawk use this technique against Pixie and Hooligans. Norton learned this on his own. Hawk sees him as a truly talented pilot. He blinds the striker and tears through the mobile suit. This manga goes with the philosophy that the pilot makes the mobile suit. This is proven by Norton being able to tear through these strikers, but Yuji in Striker is able to hold his own against a Gundam. The Striker is still technically superior though, I think. Norton grabs Birdie and they continue walking. They wonder why they let EFF go. Hawk says they are real praiseworthy men. Hawk's daily words of wisdom. Yesterday's enemy is today's pupil. Hakri user, trademarked, and restricted. They finally make it to California base, where they see Zeon in the middle of a coup. The brothers wonder what is going on. They are informed of what has happened at the end of Hooligans, where the fake Garmazabi faction wanted to use the Zanzibars to do a Zanzibar drop on EFF, and the recovery team wants to use the remaining Zanzibar to go home. Norton goes and tries to find the commanders and demand to know what is happening. He tells them of the nuke that went off, not realizing it was a Zanzibar. But that explosion didn't take out as many forces as they thought. He tries to get them to retreat. They wonder where Captain Aja went. He of course runs off. Also, he was a lieutenant earlier and now he is a captain. Did he get a promotion, or is this an editorial accident? I will let you guys be the judge. Since Aja is gone, they call the retreat team cowards and allow them to take the Zanzibars, while they die in battle with honor. Some are mad that Norton just halved their forces with this move, but Norton is essentially responsible for the Zanzibars not attacking EFF and Hooligans. Norton tells Birdie to get on the Zanzibar. He is going to stay behind and help him escape. As the chaos ensues at California base, beam blasts come from the ocean. It is the Gundam Marine type. The RAG 79 G1 Gundam Marine type is technically not a Gundam. It is closer to an enhanced Aqua Gem with a Gundam head. This is why it is a part of the RAG line of mobile suits and not an RX line. It has a modified harpoon on its left arm and a wired periscope on the back of its head. This functions as a commander unit for a squad of Aqua Gems. Weapons include a torpedo pod, an explosive harpoon gun, a hand anchor, a beam pick, and a beam rifle that works underwater. It approaches the mass driver system when Norton attacks the Gundam. He pushes the Gundam into the water, where it does a whirlpool attack on the Akai. A beam blast comes from behind. They see a giant shadow. This entire manga, we get references to the Phantom of the Sea. It is assumed that the Gundam was the Phantom, but it is not. All the aquatic mobile suits Voltron together to form a giant monstrosity. Devil Gundam be damned. What do we call this? Voltron guy? Super Gog? Hyper Gog. Birdie is a part of this unit along with the fake Garmazabi aquatic team. The giant monstrosity fires on the Gundam, tearing it to pieces. It is barely able to make its retreat. The Zanzibar begins to take off. They are too late, but the monstrosity Voltrons into a bridge leading up to the mass driver system. Norton and Birdie run across the mobile suits, appearing as though it is walking on water. It attaches to the Zanzibar, and they make their way on the ship. Norton and Birdie head into space. The brothers' journey has come to an end, but they will never forget the monster of the sea that protected them while on Earth. And that will do it for this episode. Like Hooligans, I am instantly hooked. I love that there is a message to each chapter, and Norton somehow applies that message to the battle. Despite all the tragedy that befalls these two brothers, the two persevered and eventually made it home. Now that we have covered this one shot, we can now move on to Mobile Suit Gundam Katana. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, whenever trouble is on your mind, get up and walk. Peace. What is up, Earthnoids and Space Noids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we are beginning our coverage of Mobile Suit Gundam Katana. In this adventure, we learn about Ito Tsurugi and the BGST team. This team is on the verge of being forced to retire, but with the help of Ito, they will bring down corruption within EFF. Let's not waste any time, and let's get into this. A bunch of former EFF soldiers are harassing a young boy going through an alleyway. They tell him that he has to pay a toll to pass through. He has a sword on his back. We just cut to these thugs straight up dead on the floor as the kid walks through the alleyway. UC 0084. After the war, the majority of EFF's military infantry were demobilized. Many squadrons soon started to act like gangs as Earth's economy spirals into nothing. In the outskirts of Milan, a group of Fetty soldiers are transporting $10 million. One guy says, "Are we floating?" "I think we're floating." He looks out to see that he is being held by a Zeon mobile suit. They crush the armored vehicle. Zeon remnants are tired of using crypto and need some real cash, man. Also, what is the dollar pegged to in Universal Century? It can't be gold. My guess is Luna Titanium? A group of EFF forces gather at attention to Chief Mingle of the BGST team. They have been informed of a Zeon remnants attack on the bridge heading into Montebello. They will head out to investigate and retrieve the money. But Mingle doesn't think he needs mobile suits for this operation. The BGST team meets up with the bridge blockade. The blockade finds the BGST team to be slobs. Usually, they send out 3 unguarded transport ships, 2 of which are decoys for the real one. But that plan didn't work this time, so they believe Zeon remnants have an informant in their ranks. Mingle asks how much. They tell them it was $10 million. Everyone's buttholes on the BGST team puckers real hard. They hate that Zeon is getting rich while they are getting downsized. They wonder where their mobile suits are, but Mangle says doesn't need them. Also, Mangle talks like Foghorn Leghorn. It's beautiful. He looks down off the bridge and says, "What in tarnation is a kid doing down there?" I'm not doing the voice. It is the boy with the katana. They tell the kid to climb back up and get out of here. Suddenly, a black Medea flies over them. Two Titans members comes out to meet with Mingle. The two seem to know each other. They are effectively taking over the operation, and they demand that BGST hands over all their intel. Mingle's right-hand man instantly hands over the files. Mingle looks at him and says, "Really, dude? At least hand it over to him slowly, show a little bit of resistance." But Titans members can hang soldiers on a whim. That certainly instills fear quite easily. The Titan dude flips his hair as awkwardly as possible. I will never get tired of all the weird and awkward artwork in all of Sono Yoshihiro's work. Mingle wonders if they plan on attacking Monte Boleto. The Titans say they are safe for now. Before walking away, the Titans member makes fun of Mingle, saying how the Great Katana unit has fallen so low. Their team was once feared as the Dagger of the Federation. A once elite group is now struggling to find relevancy in a post-war world run by the Titans. His team is now simply responsible for finding clues. Mingle thinks of the previous leader, Kanesada Tsurugi. He is struggling to live up to his command. He remembers that Kanesada had a son, and no one knows of his location. That is when the mysterious boy with the katana like your former commander comes over and tries to cheer him up. Mingle kicks him out of the crime scene again. No, let him get there on his own. It will click eventually. One of his men informs him that they found one of the downed armored vehicles heading away from Monte Boleto. He and half of the team goes to investigate while others hold back and continue forensics. One man named Yas is mad that he is being left behind, but the mysterious katana boy comes and cheers him up. Yas tries to kick him out. His full name is Banki Yaskovic. The kid looks at the downed trees in the crime scene. He says that Zeon remnants have a dom. Doms leave giant tracks behind them, similar to Wappa's. He looks at Yas and tells him that it is time to become a hero. Underground, near Mingle's location, is an old century factory. One of Mingle's men is working with the bridge blockade. He is using a dom, making it appear like Zeon remnants. This BGST soldier is betraying his men in exchange for a vaccine of some sort. He also said this is something their old commander promised. They are about to kill the security men in the armored vehicle, but that is when Yas and the boys shine a light on them and tell them that the jig is up. The informant gets into the dom while the bridge blockade soldier runs away. He accidentally runs off to Mangle, looking super sketchy. That is when the mysterious boy makes his appearance in the Striker Custom. The RGM-79FC Striker Custom is the evolution to the Gem Striker. This mysterious unit has a Gundam head, but is not classified as a Gundam. The head houses the Demon Blade AI system. We will learn more about this, but it awakens latent new type powers using EEG waves. It could also use vibrating dust to function like a weapon. Other weapons include 60mm Vulcans, a beam saber, a 100mm machine gun, and 2 custom beam sabers that can form together to form a beam Naginata-like weapon. It also incorporates Zeon technologies into this upgrade and stores it on its new backpack. These weapons include the Spark Knuckle, which was created off of Heat Rod tech, and the Bust Knuckle, created off of Zeon's Chain Mine tech. We will see a Hooligans favorite use this in the future. The Striker and Dom engage in battle. Yas thinks it is a Gundam, but Mangle realizes that it is just a Striker with a Gundam head. Like Amado Ray in the first episode of Gundam, the kid rips off the Zeon mobile suit's dangly bits. The Dom fires on the Striker, but the kid is able to dodge it. As it goes to attack with his beam saber, the Striker goes low and pulls out its custom beam saber and stabs the Dom. Mangle has seen this move before. It is one of their special techniques, Lightning Invincible. The BGST team arrests the 2 men. The kid says that earlier when he asked the man about the Dom, his butthole puckered and he took notice. The informant tells the kid that he did this because his son is sick and he was laid off from the military. He takes the vaccine and tells the informant that he will deliver it to his family. You sure you don't want to test that first? Yas is sad that his comrades are resorting to terrorism just to get by, and they may be next if Titans keep taking their jobs. Mangle demands to know who this kid is. The kid calls him Uncle Mangle and says that he is Ito Tsurugi. He is Kanesada's son, and he is now in command of this unit. He plans on fighting the corruption within EFF. A small Zeon remnant group is planning an operation on the outskirts of Milan. BGST stands for Blade of the Tsurugis. They were an elite anti-sabotage brigade that all of EFF once feared. But in UC 0084, economic disparity gave power to the corporations. The military was no different, as Jamatov Hyman's Titans were merely a tool to create disparity within the ranks of EFF. The best became Titans while others were forced to retire. Essentially like forcing a buyout in the corporate world. The BGST welcomes Ito as their new leader. He has his father's sword, which is one of 2 symbols of their brigade, the other being a long sword. Everyone bows in honor. Ito gets up and says, now that that's all done, it's time for some layoffs. He plans on retiring the BGST team as it is on the liquidation list. Everyone goes from happy to sad instantly. Later in the mess hall, Yas wonders why Ito didn't draw the proof of leadership longsword, and some don't think of him as a real commander. Everyone gets distracted by Miss Merrill in the lunchroom. Ito and Mingle talk to the base commander regarding Zeon remnants hiding out in Montebello. It has become a holdout for the remnants, and they don't want to poke the hornet's nest. However, they have been doing small-scale raids. Ito believes that they are going after junior mobile suits, mainly used by sports. This area of Italy has junior mobile suit manufacturers that can compete with what is being made on the moon. So much so that an Anaheim Electronics subsidiary also has a business in Italy. The only intel they have is that these bases are next to a river and most likely are being attacked by amphibious mobile suits. Ito has an idea. They want to investigate a few factories in the area. They are actually on BGST's payroll, insinuating that they may have more men selling out EFF. That is when the 2 Titans approach Mingle and Ito. We learn that the tiny one is Captain Stonefield. I guess this is these 2 Titans members' role in this manga? They just roll up to Mingle and say, your team sucks, And then he makes this face and leaves. I don't get it, I don't understand it, but I love it. They head back to the team and inform them of the new operation. They aren't having it. Yas says that if he is the true commander, then he should be able to draw the longsword. Everyone watches intensely as he tries. Of course, he is unable to do so, but he doesn't really care about the sword. He leaves Mingle to plan the mission, and he calls the mission Operation River Como with Love, which is the name of the river adjacent to the factory. Yas, being an idiot, takes the mission name literally and asks Meryl out on a date during the mission. He and Meryl go out on his gun tank. They have a picnic where Yas tries to get Meryl to bite his Pocky. Ugh. I don't think I want Pocky anymore. Someone over the radio calls Yas an idiot for taking the mission name literally. They tell him to go to a new location. Meanwhile, the base commander Fellini is meeting with the Zeon remnants led by Lieutenant Junior Grade G. Goddard. He is the one betraying the BGST team. They are waiting for the next attack on the factory. An explosion goes off in the distance. The attack begins. That is when Yas and his gun tank stumble onto their meeting. Goddard thinks that EFF is betraying them, so he gets into his goof flight type. The MS-07H8 Goof Flight type is the evolution of the Goof Flight test type and the Goof Custom. It has movable stabilizer wings on the backpack and waist armor, which greatly improves its ambac system while in the air. Only 3 were made, with the other 2 stationed at Guineas Sahalin's base in Southeast Asia. Weapons include a triple 35mm Gatling gun, a Gatling shield with another 75mm Gatling gun attached, and a heat sword type D3. Yas says, "Hey, Commander, why are you with Zeon? Hey, why is there a goof here? Hey, why is this goof coming at me with a sword?" People on BGST are a little slow. That is when Ito in the Striker Custom comes in. He had a hunch that the base commander was in on this. He let Mingle handle the operation because he knew people would let their guard down if Ito wasn't taking command. The 2 engage in battle. One of the base commanders, Jim, holds up the gun tank as a hostage. Ito plays around, but they tell him not to move or they will kill the gun tank pilot. Ito tells the goof to attack him. He won't even move from his spot. As the goof rushes in, Ito does the special technique, Cut Awakened. He ducks down and slices off the goof's arm. Mingle's team comes in because he saw the explosion. It appears it was a diversion to draw out Zeon, but Ito didn't expect them to use goof flight types. He assumed they were amphibious types. The Titan's captain comes over to BGST and mocks them once again and takes off. This time he doesn't do the weird hair flick. Come on, do the flick. Ito says that the Titans are right this time. They should be embarrassed that EFF is working with Zeon remnants under their noses. However, he pulls out the retirement agreement that has been issued to the BGST team. He also pulls out the Tsurugi longsword. He draws the sword and slices their retirement agreement in half. They are amazed that he is able to draw the sword. He is a Tsurugi. Mingle wonders how he was able to draw the sword. He lets him in on the little secret. There is a hidden lock on the katana. You have to twist it in a particular way to unlock it. It has nothing to do with strength. Other Zeon remnants are informed of Goddard's failure. Goddard has been referring to himself as a snake throughout this chapter. These other remnants say that next time, BGST will have to take on the spider. A man named Richard is lost after the death of Kanesada Tsurugi. They are suddenly attacked. The town of Montebello has been in a stalemate with Milan EFF forces since the end of the war. This has changed since the intervention of the BGST team and the Titans. They are about to clean house. A man in a suit comes looking for Ito. This is Richard Grayson. Yas knows this name. It is friend of former commander and the Federation Ministry of Commerce and Industry chairman who was a secret sponsor to the BGST team. Yas is snooping on their conversation conversation when Mangle notices Richard. He joins in on the snooping. Miss Merrill serves Richard and Ito tea. Mangle and Yas wants to know what Merrill heard, but she didn't hear anything. Miss Merrill now joins in on the snooping. It seems Ito and Richard's meeting is over. They notice that Ito is angry over their conversation. Meanwhile, Stonefield and the Titans launch a squad of Gundam Marine types led by Morgan Barge. The BGSD team gets in formation. Ito tells them that the Titans are moving on Monte Balletto and they are trying to take all the glory. The Titans are going in with full force, but their objective is to find the commander of Monte Balletto. They move out. At Monte Balletto, the Zeon commander is ready to show their strength to the Federation. He sends out Shuki. We'll figure it out eventually. For now, we'll be formal and call her Chief Petty Officer O'Connell. She heads out. GM Quails are taking on the base directly. Stonefield is confident that this mission will go his way and decides to eat. He is in a hover truck. Before taking a bite, he is informed that they lost contact with the Gundam Marine types and the ground units. They are taken out by a Zaku 2 Kai. The MS-06FZ Zaku 2 Kai is a renovation of the Zaku F2 type. The armor is strengthened and its armaments all redesigned so it does not fall behind the GMs. The cockpit was improved greatly to a point that rookie pilots can handle it with ease. I'm looking at you, Keith. This particular unit has the typical Zaku style head, but these units also use the B-type or Fritz helmet. Its German-inspired looks isn't just aesthetics. The lip was designed to allow pilots to pop open the hood if their unit was downed. It can be equipped with a Sternfaust, a Heat Hawk, a Heat Sword, a Zaku Bazooka, a 120mm machine gun, hand grenades, and a shoulder shield. The Fritz Helm version of this unit was piloted by Bernie in War in the Pocket, as well as the Capital Defense Brigade units in the plot to assassinate Giran. Two GMs go in, but they are taken out by the Zaku's Heat Hawk. The Zaku shows EFF the power of the deadly green spider. Before attacking Stonefield's hover truck, the Striker steps in. He tells Stonefield to get out of here if he values his life. He begrudgingly listens. Stonefield says that the Titans never run from a fight. He then proceeds to run from a fight. The Zaku proceeds to throw its Heat Hawks. It is as if she is throwing 6 at a time. Yas thinks that she is a new type. She tells Ito to leave, but he refuses. They're taking this land back, and Zeon will surrender today. They engage in melee combat. Yas notices explosions going off and thinks it is a minefield. The Zaku Kai throws its Heat Hawk again. The Striker deflects them when they head into the woods, taking out 2 other Zakus in hiding. Ito tells Yas that this isn't a new type. It's just 3 mobile suits pretending to be one, while everyone is focused on the Zaku Kai. The Zakus hiding in the forest mimic the attack. O'Connell says she must protect her stepfather. Ito wonders who she is talking about. She throws her Heat Hawks, pushing the Striker back. He accidentally steps on one of the landmines. An explosion erupts. Out of the smoke comes the Striker Custom, stripped of its armor. He is also able to walk on the minefield without setting off the mines. The two rush towards each other. Ito uses the burst knuckle and explodes the left half of the Zaku. The Striker Custom's reactive armor is different from the original Striker. After impact, it explodes like typical reactive armor, but then it will shed. Once it sheds and hits the ground, it activates a secondary explosion, which helps take out the mines around the mobile suit. This seems like it would be a huge margin of error, but it's perfect anime logic. Ito attacks with the spark knuckle and knocks out CPO O'Connell. Yas notices that Ito is angry like he was earlier talking to Richard. They head out and notice a graveyard of Zakus. This wasn't done by the Titans. They notice a gem custom with the pilot looking out of its cockpit. Ito wants to know who the soldier is as he doesn't look like a Titan. That is when 3 more Zakus pop out. They begin attacking EFF. The gem custom cuts through the remaining Zakus with ease. The gem custom pilot has been looking for Ito. He says that he is coming with him. Back with Mingle and the rest of the BGST team, they have O'Connell as a prisoner. They are suddenly attacked, and O'Connell makes her escape towards the down Zaku that still seems to work. She says she is coming, Daddy. So anyways, back with Ito, he demands the soldier state his rank and affiliation. That is when he begins attacking Ito. They play a cat and mouse game with each other before Ito realizes all the death and destruction around them. They were supposed to secure the enemy, not kill them. What are they trying to cover up? They are at the doorsteps of the enemy. The base commander watches. The gem custom pilot tells him to come with him and learn about True Federal. The BGSD team is merely child's play compared to what they do. Within 3 years, True Federal plans on completely overhauling the Federation into something brand new. The gem custom pilot says that Ito has been chosen by Lord Spada. That is when O'Connell and the damaged Zaku Kai shows up. The base commander tells her to get out of here. The GM custom goes to kill the base commander, but O'Connell stops him. That is when Ito steps in. Since he and this True Federal claims to be changing EFF, he is arresting him for being a terrorist. The two begin fighting. He uses his custom beam saber and attaches the two, creating what is similar to a beam naginata. Also, this whole time, Yas is just watching and commenting instead of actually helping out. This seems to be a running thing with him. Ito slices off the Gym Custom's arm and head. The true federal soldier makes his escape. He says they will meet again in space. As he escapes, Mingle and the rest of the BGSD team meet up with Yas and Ito. They swept around the base, and Monte Balletto is secure. Everyone is happy that the mission was a success, but Ito says it was a failure. They did not capture the base commander, and there is a group working in the shadows trying to recruit him. He takes Richard Grayson up on his deal that they discussed earlier. The team wonders what the conversation was about. He tells the BGSD team that they are heading into space. They have to cancel their war games with the Nemesis team. War games between Nemesis and BGSD would be an interesting one-shot. Most of the team seems to not have any zero-G training. Ito tells Richard that he is going along with his plan, but he tells him to never talk about his father in front of him. He hates his father and would have killed him with his own hands if given the chance. O'Connell is the lone survivor of Monte Balletto. Meanwhile, on the moon, a Pegasus-class ship is offloading G-parts, including a Gundam head. The BGSD team are showing off the new Gym 2s. Ito gets in one and shows off a little bit. Everyone wants him to show off shooting one of the weapons, but he runs away claiming he needs to do paperwork. Yas mentions he never actually seen Ito fire a gun. He has just used melee weapons thus far. Mangle is stressed with all the work they have to do before leaving. That is when he notices Ito doing some target practice with some cans. He doesn't hit a single one. Yas heads into town to get some snacks, during which he opens his dumb mouth. Ito wonders if they could add one more to the list of people to take into space. Stonefield is embarrassed that BGSD took all the glory, so they are going to go full fascist on Milan just to annoy BGSD. That's some Flay Alistair energy right there. The same store that Yas went to get some snacks, so too do the Titans, who begin smashing up their business for selling to Zeon. Stonefield heads to the BGSD base, where he demands that they hand over the Monte Balletto prisoner. Stonefield doesn't know that Ito is the new commander. He pretends that Commander Tsurugi is out and he is acting in his name. He wants to talk to Mingle. Meanwhile, O'Connell has a tiny shank hidden in her mouth. She captures Miss Merrill when she brought the prisoner food. Yas was an idiot and yapped his mouth to the store clerk about the prisoner. Mingle comes over and tells Stonefield they don't have a prisoner and to leave. That is when Yas comes running over, yelling that the prisoner has escaped. You suck, Yas. They begin searching the base. They have to find them before the Titans do. Ito takes a car. O'Connell and Merrill disguise themselves as schoolgirls, and they head back to Monte Balletto. She wants to find a way back to space now that she has lost her stepfather. That is when a gang of Wappas come over and casually try to traffic some children. As they go for the girls, Ito in a jeep comes over and runs over the gang's Wappas. He gets out and fights the men. One man remains, and he points a gun at him. He tells the gang member to get a real job. As his back is turned, he goes to attack Ito, but he uses his sword to take him down. You know, it's not like I want to see a child overcome his gun skills and kill a man, but I kinda was expecting a kid to learn his lesson and kill this man. Oh well. He tells a gang member that he could find a job if he put his heart into it and not be picky. He lets the man go. That man went on to put his heart in it by creating the biggest child trafficking ring in Italy. Oh well, not their problem anymore. They're going to space. Ito knew she was coming here because it is the only port to Corsica, which is the only way to get to the moon. He knows that is the prisoner's home. Ito says he will take her there, but he wants her to be a spy. She refuses. However, he doesn't want her to spy on Zeon remnants. They will handle that. He wants her to spy on True Federal. That way she could avenge her stepfather without hurting her own people. She agrees to join BGST. Some of the BGST team are staying in Italy to ensure that the Titans don't harass the citizens. If they were all to leave, the Titans would destroy Milan. The citizens and business owners of Milan wish the BGST team a safe journey. Mingle calls the Titans and says, "I'm going on a business trip for 3 days, bye." The Titans rush towards the Milan base, but the shuttle has already made its departure. Throughout the past few issues, Yas has really been hung up on how people in space poop. Once the shuttle hits 0G, the first thing Yas thinks to do is to go take a poop. Priorities. They make it to Granada and head through customs. Also going through customs at the same time is an EFF soldier named Quattro Bagina. In Granada, someone is informed that Shar Aznable is back. Ito tells Mingle to get a hold of Richard immediately. He wants to get things going. Behind the two is Quattro. The BGST team is amazed by how big the city is. Some are amazed by the lack of sky. Remember, the moon is tidally locked with Earth, meaning we only see one side of the moon ever. Von Braun is built on the bright side of the moon that could see Earth. Granada, however, is on the dark side of the moon. The city is always facing side 3. which Granada helped build. It is the only colony beyond the moon, which is why they are more sympathetic to the Principality of Zeon. Even now, post-war, as a republic, this relationship with Granada continues, even though it is under EFF control now. Granada is now a camping grounds for many Zeon remnants. In other words, they need to be on guard. As they walk through the city, Yas yells, "Oh my god, they have a McDaniels here." He wants to try the regional lunar teriyaki burger. I know two guys who spend way too much money at McDaniels. Mingle tells Yas to control himself. O'Connell notes that this place has changed a lot since she was here. A man sneaks around in the alleys of Granada wondering if Shar Aznable has really come back to the moon. Later, the BGSD team runs zero-G training exercises. Everyone is struggling to properly utilize the AMBAC system. They are progressing slowly, but they are progressing. Mingle asks why they are really here on the moon. Richard tells them that this place has become a feeding ground for Zeon remnants. This is because of the rumors that Shar Aznable is coming to Granada. They want BGSD to investigate the truth of these rumors before local EFF enforcements get involved. He leaves it to Mingle, and Ito says that he has a date with a girl. O'Connell is working with Ito and meets her old friend Pamela. Her friend essentially says, "Man, it sucks you got left on Earth. I've been doing great since we surrendered." She tells O'Connell that Commander Shar has made his return. That is when Ito crashes their reunion. He introduces himself as Ichiro Tanaka, and Pamela assumes it is her boyfriend. This causes her to leave. Ito says it seems Zeon has split. The old Mobile Suit Assault Force makes up Kaecilia's faction. Giran loyalists represent the Giran faction, and there are still some that preach the ideals of Contolism who make up the Daikum faction. Ito believes that one powerful voice can unify these factions into one. This most likely is why Shar is here. Ito wonders who Pamela is. O'Connell tells them that they were born on Side 3, but both grew up here in Granada. Her father was a researcher for the Flanagan Institute. Pamela visits her father, Dr. Henry, who was the man at the beginning of this chapter. He says that their days of hiding are numbered. They look up to a mysterious mobile armor. O'Connell and Ito learn that Zeon remnants have been planning something since the end of the war. They think that if Shar is here, he will contact the Flanagan Institute as he was a part of Kaecilia's faction and the Flanagan Institute was under her control. Ito wants to sneak into Pamela's house. He needs O'Connell to distract her. She asks Ito once again that this isn't some trap to get her to betray Zeon. He also once again reminds her that BGST team doesn't need her help with Zeon, just True Federal. Ito sneaks into their house to find that Pamela's dad, Dr. Henry, was the source of the rumor of Shar and that he will make a declaration unifying Zeon soon. Ito makes this face. That is when Pamela comes rushing out yelling that Shar is going to make a declaration to the world soon, making Ito's spy mission pointless. Good job. Later, Shar sends a message to the world telling all Zeon remnants to meet at certain coordinates near Granada. Zeon remnants gathering in one place is certainly a good opportunity for BGSD team to arrest all of the Zeon remnants. O'Connell says, "You lying son of a bitch." A giant show of Zeon remnants show up to the coordinates. Dr. Henry pilots the Gromlin. The Man 05 Gromlin is a heavy mobile armor originally designed for anti-ship combat. It made its first appearance in SD Gundam G Generation. When the war ended, the Gromlin was still under development. Its data and related documents were erased to keep the machine in secret. It also has the ability to use its leg and sensor head as a wired attack terminals. Why make a leg a wired anchor leg in a space environment is beyond me and just raises questions as to why the designer chose this as their weapon to bring Zeon back to glory. The giant wheel with one leg. This is also a new type machine, but there is no data on whether or not Dr. Henry is a new type. Other weapons include a wired beam head cannon, a variable megaparticle gun, and anti-aircraft megaparticle guns. Nothing but silence. They think it is all a ruse. That is when Ito in the Striker Custom makes his appearance. He tells the Zeon remnants that he tricked them, and he was the one who sent out the message pretending to be Shar. He did it not to trick them, but to flesh out someone involved in Operation Tall Fed. He saw this while looking at Dr. Henry and Pamela's terminal earlier. Ito believes that someone in their ranks are working against the Zeon remnants' goals. Ito believes that this Tall Fed is actually True Federal, and someone is trying to sell off the Zeon remnant army to them. Dr. Henry finds this all absurd. Of course, Ito knows that it is Dr. Henry himself working with True Federal and selling out his own men. This causes Dr. Henry to panic. Pamela asks her father if this is true. Ito is definitely certain that it is him now. The Gromlin begins attacking Ito's Striker. He begins attacking anyone who gets in his way. In the distance, a red Gundam makes its appearance on the battlefield. The BGSD team begins attacking the mobile armor. Dr. Henry wants to destroy Granada and start anew under Caecilia's honor. Granada begins evacuating the city. Paul Mercury, who is clearly just Freddie Mercury, with the chest out and everything, is the commander of a ball unit. He whips his balls out and helps the BGSD team. This guy also likes to snap his fingers. Everything he says is a quip about making things snappy and doing things in a snap. It gets old real quick. The Gremlin fires, taking out Ito's thrusters. The Striker jumps on top of the mobile armor. The mobile armor fires its megaparticle cannon at Yas. Ito and the Striker jumps in front of him. He spins his custom dual beam saber and dissipates the beam, saving Yas. The Gremlin begins crashing into Granada. The Striker holds back the mobile armor like that one famous Spider-Man issue. Ito's Striker is at its limits. Dr. Henry goes mad and takes out his own daughter Zaku. That is when a rocket cannon attacks and destroys the mobile armor. It is the Red Gundam, the Full Armor Alex. The FA-78 NT-1 Full Armor Alex is created based off of the original draft of the SFWS plan. Many compromises were made in the original design. However, the Full Armor Gundam's missile bays in the knees and auxiliary propulsion units on the side of the legs have been omitted in this version. This was made simultaneously with the Shoban armor of the original Alex. It is equipped with 60mm Vulcan guns, a 360mm rocket cannon, a missile bay built into the chest, a 90mm Gatling gun, the twin beam rifle, a shield, and a beam saber. It is Cortez, the true federal pilot that Ito ran into on Earth. Dr. Henry is still alive somehow. He notes that this is the new type Gundam built in secret and perfected. O'Connell is piloting the draw seat and attacks the Gundam, but does minimal damage. The Striker and the Gundam engage in melee combat. The Striker runs out of power, however. True Federal sends a message to the people of Granada claiming that they are the ones who saved them. They seem to be setting up Ito's team while also taking the glory of BGST. They will rebuild a new federation under the leader Spada. Quattro Begina is listening to his broadcast. Also listening is Eddie of the Nemesis team. Cortez tells Ito to come to True Federal and make his leave. The people seem to have bought into the propaganda of True Federal. They began a mob around EFF. Okana realizes True Federal turned her own people against their own ideals. Her friends are all dead, and the people of Granada seemed lost. She will get a revenge on True Federal. Ito tried his typical gotcha method of solving his problems and ended up getting Zeon killed. He betrayed O'Connell's trust, and it is all his responsibility. Looking at the damage at Granada is Yuji Arcana. Ito asks Mingle what he should do in moments like this. Mingle doesn't say anything. He just drops a wakizashi in front of him. Ito pulls out the dagger and tries to commit harikiri. Mingle goes, "No, you idiot, I'm trying to make a point." He backhands Ito across the face in good old bright fashion. He tells Ito that he lacks benevolence, which is something a leader must have. Mingle says that he is nothing like Kanesada and has much to learn. O'Connell overhears this conversation. The Full Armor Alex lands on a Pegasus-class ship. On board, True Federal members gather around Lord Spada, who is clearly a Darth Vader ripoff. Cortez is praised for his actions, but his mission of getting Ito on their side is still his primary mission. Cortez doesn't understand why Ito is so important. Standing by Cortez happens to be Major Saki Desao of the Nemesis team. Back at Granada, the BGSD team are monitoring the Pegasus-class ship. EFF higher-ups won't let them pursue, and they aren't really hiding themselves. They try to get its identification number to try to expose them. The BGSD team still struggles to adapt to space combat. Paul Mercury watches them struggle. Yas asks Paul if he could train them for space battle. He says he will consider it. Okano goes to check on Ito, only to find him trying to seppuku himself once again. She stops him and suggests maybe he try delegating orders and stop bearing the burden for everything. That is when an explosion goes off. The Pegasus-class ship fired above the dock. They demand that they hand over Ito to True Federal. He wants to hand himself over to end this. Yas decides to go out in Ito's Striker Custom to protect his commander. That idiot has a great heart, but he is going to die. They need to send someone to help him. That is when Quattro Begina runs into Ito. He wonders if the Striker is a Gundam, but he tells him that it is just a Gundam head to resemble the hero of the 1 Year War. But he is no Amado Ray. Quattro tells him he doesn't have to be another Amado Ray. A person can only do what he must in the moment. This reinvigorates Ito, and he no longer wants to kill himself. Lord Spada demands that they bring him Ito. He is rocking a similar mask to a familiar man in an iron mask from the future. On the Pegasus-class ship, Eddie and Yuji launch. Yuji is in a GM Striker Kai. Yas approaches Yuji in a modified Gym Striker. This is his Gym Striker that we know and love from Hooligans, but it is modified for space use. This seems exactly like the Gym Striker Kai, which is in GBO2. Yas tries to lose the striker, but it is fast. A beam blast comes out of nowhere. It is Jean in the Gym Sniper 2. Yas pulls out a gun, but Yuji knocks it out of his hand. Yuji doesn't slow down from Yas's attack due to his reactive armor. Lord Spada and Saki are on the bridge of the Pegasus. Lord Spada praises Yuji and Saki's team. After the 1 year war, the Nemesis team was disbanded. Saki went back to Jaburo, but Yuji and his comrades were forced to take jobs that don't help the people. When Saki found him again, he was resorting to gambling. He realizes that Ito isn't the one in the striker. It is a fake, so they decide to kill him. Before Yuji can make a move, an explosion goes off. It is a ball. Ito is piloting with Paul Mercury cramped in the back. Paul Mercury gives me a lot of Armstrong and Full Metal Alchemist vibes. Paul takes control and does the attack weasel whirlwind gay style. What makes it gay style? Guys, is it gay if you spin your balls? Ito jumps out of the ball and floats towards the striker custom. Yas apologizes for not living up to Ito's skills, but he tells Yas that he needs to be able to protect his people like Yas was willing to do. Yas heads towards the ball while Paul equips the new knuckle daggers on the strikers. These are tonfa beam blades that attach to the forearms. Ito begins attacking Yuji. He knows of the exploits of the Nemesis Instructor Corps and says they once exposed corruption. Now they work with the terrorists True Federal. He wants to know why. The two continue engaging in melee combat. Yuji whips out his twin beam spear. Yas and Mercury attack the full armor Alex. Cortez is annoyed and attacks the ball. Ito thinks Yas and Mercury are dead. He is distracted and Yuji goes in for the attack. Ito is now on the defensive. The two are going toe to toe with one another. Both are at their limits. Yuji has to resort to tackling Ito, knocking him out. Yuji tries to capture him and take him back to Lord Spada, but Cortez wants to kill him. The Striker Custom's eyes now glow red. The full armor Gundam unloads shell rounds on the Striker. Ito is able to cut the shells in half. The Striker throws the knuckle dagger and uses it like a boomerang. Lord Spada wonders where he hid it. Now Yuji is on the defensive. He then takes the knuckle daggers and puts it on the Striker's feet. He does some sweet breakdance fighting and uses the knuckle daggers like skates. The Striker goes in and attacks Yuji's Striker with a beam saber. It gets close to almost penetrating the cockpit and killing Yuji. Both Strikers are dead in the water. Others swiftly move in to capture Ito. Jean wonders how that kid handled all those G's as he was moving so fast. Yuji says that he was most likely passed out, meaning the mobile suit moved on its own. Lord Spada walks in wanting to take him. They're confused as his heart is giving out and he needs medical attention. That is when Ito wakes up and tries to kill Lord Spada with his sword. Meanwhile, the captain of the Temptation, Bright Noah, is currently being held in a hangar due to the attack on Granada. Mercury makes eye contact with Hawk. The two seem to know one another. Ito wakes up from an empty room. Suddenly, an announcer and ring babes come bursting into the room doing the Spada Samba while announcing Lord Spada's entrance. The Spada girls will soon be on Federation's Got Talent. This isn't a joke, this is a line of dialogue, and this show exists. Ito says, okay, I'm done with all this, and begins attacking, but Cortez puts a stop to it. They go to a different room to discuss matters further. Once corruption within the Federation stops, most of the power will be from the Space Noids. Ito doesn't care, he just wants to know why he wants him. Lord Spada says that he needs to learn benevolence as a leader, and he will be the one who will teach him. He wants to make him the most powerful new type. Cortez tells Lord Spada that nothing works on this guy. As Cortez pokes and prods, Ito grabs him and flips him. He holds Cortez as a hostage, and the two run through the Spada girls' changing room. Nice. He tries to get a message out, but they cut off his comms. They look out to realize he isn't on a Pegasus, but rather they are on a space station. Saki is mad at the installation of an AI system in the Striker. Captain Silver of True Federal doesn't seem to care about anyone from the Nemesis team besides Yuji. He has undergone cyber new type enhancements and brainwashing. An explosion goes off. A man looking like a Yakuza stereotype holding a rocket launcher comes in. This is Borino, also known as the Executioner. Mangle and the BGSD team receive the small snippet Ito sent out before being cut off. They head out to find their commander. Ito has cut the power and prevented the security forces from communicating with one another. He attacks a security detail and heads for a Striker custom. As he activates the mobile suit, he runs into Yuji, who is now in a black Striker custom of his own. This is most likely his Gym Striker with a new Gundam head added. This means it has the same system that Ito's Striker has. Captain Silver and a security detail surround Saki and the Nemesis team. Log files over the past 3 months show that they have been accessing true Federal data and covering up their tracks. It appears they are only feigning allegiance to Lord Spada. Before Captain Silver could do anything, Yuji and Ito come crashing through the corridor. Like last time, Ito asks Yuji why he is doing this. He simply says Lord Spada's orders. Lord Spada says to activate the Demon Blade. Yuji's AI system activates, and the eyes turn red. The Striker just tells him to destroy the Gundam over and over again. Saki realizes that Yuji is much faster. He wonders if he undergone enhancements. Ito tells of a story about being excited about meeting Yuji as the other pilot selected for the Striker program. But the day came and Yuji never showed up. It seems he was already a part of True Federal by then. Ito misjudged him. His Striker unit seems to be resonating with Yuki's Striker. As the two punch each other, Ito sees the Shamaran incident. We see the end of Hooligans when Yuji is shot and Martin Shamaran, who we knew as Tara, is trying to help him. Yuji goes to visit him in prison, where he tells Martin that civil war is breaking out. Yuji goes out scouting when they investigate a house with a little girl. Yuji doesn't know if he shot first or his comrade shot first, as his memory is spotty, but he was once again shot and the family is mowed down. He goes to visit Martin again to find that he has been executed. Even now, Yuji still refers to his friend as Tara. He is now dead along with the little girl and her family. EFF is no longer protecting the people. Ito tells him that he must fight to make a change within himself. Yuji's eyes go back to normal. He snaps out of it. Ito tells Yuji that they should get out of there, but that is when they run into a giant mobile armor. This is the mass production Big Zam. The MA-09 mass production type Big Zam isn't a stripped down version of the Big Zam. This is a complete redesign that is way smaller at 28.8 meters, where Big Zam was 59.6 meters. This was supposed to be used during the attack on Jaburo during the 1 Year War, but it never came to be. It seems True Federal has picked up where Zeon left off. This version lowers production costs by removing the eye field and slapping on some anti-beam coating and hoping for the best. One big improvement is the large megaparticle cannon. The Big Zam had to be stationary to fire, except for in Origin, but let's ignore that. This version has extra cooling, allowing it to move while firing. It is also equipped with a Minovsky craft system. Other weapons include 4 missiles per leg and 6 anti-air missile launchers. Saki and the rest of the Nemesis team made their escape on a shuttle. Yuji is able to take out the Big Zam, but that is when they are surrounded by 2 more, along with Cortez and his full armor Alex. They all fire their megaparticle cannons, destroying everything around them. Yuji tells Cortez that the cyber new type enhancements are messing with his head and to come with him. The two fight. Cortez takes out Yuji's arm, but he is able to take out Alex. But that is when Burino sets a trap and captures Yuji. He tells Ito to come with them or they will kill Yuji. Captain Silver gets an SOS from Bright's shuttle, the Temptation. He thinks that helping out the hero of the 1 Year War and the Great Slapper would look good on his record. He allows him to land. However, he goes against their landing clearance. On the Temptation is the BGST team ready to arrest True Federal and take over the base. Ito is surprised to see Yas and the rest of the BGSD team. Saki and Hawk are working with Mangle to help get the BGSD to the gravity block. While this is happening, the two strikers do some striking. Ito engages with Cortez. Captain Silver of True Federal can't seem to figure out why Bright would get himself involved in this situation. We cut to Bright yelling at BGST, saying, "You assholes lied to me to get me here. Now I'm an accomplice to whatever this is. I'm not helping you anymore." Of course, BGST would screw over Bright. Mangle thanks Bright for all he has done so far, and they move out. Cortez tells Ito to draw his demon blade. He doesn't know what Cortez is talking about, and wonders if he is referring to what happened to the mobile suit when he passed out. Cortez begins coughing and panicking, while shoveling down pills. He becomes sluggish. Ito wonders if he is a cyber new type. He goes on about how much he loves Lord Spada. Just suck his dick already. The two go in for one final blow. Ito goes low and takes out the full armor Alex. Meanwhile, someone gets a hit on the Temptation. The left engine was hit and it won't fly anymore. There goes Bright's ship. Poor guy. Mangle looks over at True Federal's Pegasus-class ship and says, "Screw it, we're taking this." That guy over there was the captain of one of these ships. Look, we even have a few engineers. If Bright could run this ship with children, he could do it with actual officers. Let's do this. I love the energy of this manga. Mangle starts taking command, but Bright says, "Get out of here, I got this." The base is under control of BGSD. Things are looking up. Ito tells Yuji to come with him. As the two take their leave, a mobile suit slices through Yuji's striker, taking out the arm. It is a blue Domel. The MS-19 Domil is a Principality of Zeon prototype mobile suit that was developed in secret at Abawaku. There's very little information about this mobile suit, but it debuted in Mobile Suit Gundam EX Review. It is equipped with the multi-launcher on both arms, 2 shoulder missile pods, 2 chest missile pods, heated spikes on both shoulders, and a toe beam, which is the equivalent to having a knife in your boot. We flash back to UC-0084. Somewhere in Southeast Asia, Yuji is in the middle of a boxing match. After the chaos of Nemesis, he went back to boxing. After the match, the underground boxing ring is raided by Saki. He was looking for Yuji. He tells him to pack his bags. He doesn't want to go, but Saki tells him boxing at an underground gambling ring isn't really the life to live. Albeit, he has been keeping in shape. He must have done it knowing a day like this would come. Saki eventually convinces him, and he and the instructor corps head into space. This is Yuji's first time into space. Soon the team starts running training exercises with True Federal. Yuji notes that Lord Spada is dangerous. Lord Spada seemed to have given him a new type flash. They're using GM Quells to run exercises. Cortez is a part of this team. Yuji tells Eddie that something is off about these guys. Saki is plotting something, but he'd rather not know any details. After Cortez upgraded to the full armor Gundam, the instructor corps begins losing. They begin experimenting on Yuji with cyber new type enhancements. Even while going through cyber new type enhancements, Yuji just trusts in Saki and hopes for the best. Yuji wakes up. He was passed out after being attacked by the Domo. Ito assumes this is Lord Spada in the mobile suit. Cortez begins praising Lord Spada like the suck-up he is. But the masked man says that Cortez is now useless to him. Mad, Cortez goes to attack, but Lord Spada does the infinite lightning attack. As Ito attacks Lord Spada, Mangle believes that he is the late Kanasada. Mangle tells Ito to withdraw. True Federal's mobile suits surround Ito and begin firing. That is when the Super Demon Blade system is activated. The striker begins tearing through gyms. Even with the Demon Blade activated, Mangle thinks that he doesn't stand a chance against Kanasada. Both do the attack slicing arm palm counter technique. The Domo slices off the striker's head. Lord Spada says that like the exam system, the Demon Blade system is in the head. The BGSD team uses the Pegasus-class ship's beam cannon on the Domo, but Lord Spada spins the beam saber, dissipating the beam blast, just like Ito did in the past. The Domo then uses the secret technique Steelfoot Hurricane. Paul Mercury and Yas hop in balls and fight against True Federal. Hawk Reuser is in a gym trainer. The 2 balls attach to the shoulders of the gym, creating the Gym Juggler. The RGM-79 ARA Gym Juggler is EFF's attempt at catching up to Zeon's new type research. Seikomu Tech is very new to the Federation, so they used balls as their versions of remote bits. The gym is based on the Gym Trainer, which has an extra seat for the gunner to control the remote-controlled balls. The balls give the gym 4 extra beam cannons. Since the Federation gained control of Zeon new type research, the Gym Trainer fell to the wayside post-1-year war. This is meant for new types, but in this case, 3 old type pilots are controlling it. They tell Mangle to get Ito out of here. They get him on the Pegasus class. Mangle asks why Kanasada is Lord Spada. He responds by stabbing and killing Mangle. Earlier, Mangle left the Pegasus class ship, and he isn't in the Temptation or a gym. So I have no idea what he just died in. Bright launches the Pegasus-class ship. Lord Spada and True Federal follow them in the Kaiser of Dragons. The Kaiser of Dragons is a giant battleship designed by the Principality of Zeon and now used by True Federal. It is bigger than the Guazine, but it doesn't have the firepower of one. However, this giant ship can transform into a dragon. It has a Minovsky craft system for atmospheric flight. Weapons include 2 triple megaparticle cannons and 10 260mm triple cannons. In the hangar of the Pegasus, which by the way, True Federal referred to this as Trojan Horse 3, which was a term specifically used by Zeon. So True Federal has a Zeon lean to it. The team tries to get Ito out of the cockpit, but the hatch is stuck. Yas wants to pry it open, but the ship suddenly gets hit. Bright says, "Why didn't you mention the ship approaching? Maybe a bunch of children are more competent than the BGSD team." More missiles hit the port side of the ship. Yas, Paul, and Hawk get into the Gym Juggler. The ship heads into a debris field. The helmsman can't pilot the ship properly and the Kaiser is on their tail. They have to abandon ship. They will spread Minovsky particles in the debris field and begin shuttling people to the Temptation that is being towed. A meteor hits the bridge, taking out the helmsman. Bright and the remaining BGSD team makes their escape. They still haven't been able to open the striker hatch and save Ito. Yas breaks off from the Juggler and heads back to the Pegasus. He tells everyone to leave the ship. If he can't get Ito out, he is going to fly the ship and evade the Kaiser. The temptation breaks off as the Kaiser sends out 12 Ogos in their direction. We go into details about the Ogo during our coverage of Igloo Apocalypse, but essentially these are Zeon versions of the ball. Paul Mercury does a Black Turtle of the North secret technique and takes out some Ogos. Yas has been referring to Paul as master since he asked him for training, but Paul tells him to stop. He also mentions that he was once a racer who used to outrun the cops back in Italy. He maneuvers between the asteroids. 2 Ogos are left. Yash tries to outrun 2 asteroids that are converging to crush the ship. Thrusters are at full blast. He crash lands the ship on one of the big meteors. On the asteroid, a mono eye pops up, which is supposed to be menacing, I think, but it made me laugh. We flash back to the days of Kanesada in command of the BGSD team. He is on his way to Compay Island, formerly Solomon. One person tagging along with Kanesada is a man named Borino. Mangle is left in charge while he is gone. He reminds the team that one day the commander's son will take charge. Yas wakes up to an old man giving him food. He has been passed out for 3 days. He wonders where he is. It seems he landed on a resource mining asteroid. Like Luna 2, there are several giant asteroids orbiting Earth that are used for mining resources. This is Harmony 1. They take Yas to Paul and Cortez, who are watching over a very unresponsive Ito. Oh no, did he Camille himself? Cortez says it was the demon blade that consumed him. Yas demands he elaborates. After the magnetic coating became a thing, it became harder for EFF to find enough Amados to pilot their mobile suits. So they started creating cyber new types. Lord Spada's goal was to make a telepathic AI, an AI that absorbs the human mind. He believes that the Striker's head, which houses the demon blade system, absorbed Ito's consciousness. When Spada sliced and took Ito's head, he took Ito with him. Yas finds it hard to believe. The Kaiser of Dragons just crashes into the asteroid. They unleash Ogos on Harmony 1. The workers have Recon Zakus on the asteroid, but they have no weapons as they are used as mobile workers. Yas wants Cortez to be their third juggler to juggle it up. He doesn't want to help them, but Yas reminds Cortez that True Federal threw him away, and he wonders if he wants revenge for what they did to him. There is also a tiny person like Yas on Harmony 1's team. He has been making fun of Yas for being short, despite his size problem. While no one is looking, he gets into an ag and fights against the Ogos, while Yas and the others argue over juggling. The ags are used for drilling on the asteroid, and are probably the only weapons on a mobile suit currently. The short Harmony 1 worker goes into action. The tiny miner that got into the ag attacks the Ogos. He is struggling to remember some of the controls. While the ag is attacked, Cortez finally helps Yas and Paul with the gem juggler. However, Cortez is struggling to juggle those balls. They aren't working together as a team. One member on board the Kaiser is Borino, the one who left with Kanesada to Compay Island. Yas recognizes Borino and wonders how he is still alive and why he is fighting with the madmen True Federal. He tells him that the boss created these madmen. In UC 0083, the military carried out a massive naval review. Of course, we know this incident as the nuke that Gato set off, destroying the naval review in the process. The truth is that only half the fleet was destroyed, but they were listed as MIA. He says that it is thanks to a certain incident. Borino tells Yas to come with him. BGST will fall as True Federal rises up. Cortez tries to say something, but Borino says, "Shut up, Cortez, you've been cast out already." He says that the lost numbers have been completed. This makes Cortez's eyes widen. We flash back to Yas when he was still in a biker gang in Italy. He crashes his bike into another mobster who tries to escalate the situation. But that is when Borino and the BGSD team comes in and beats up the mobster. He tells Yas that he should join the BGSD team, but he is not following him anymore. Yas bobs and weaves his balls through the Ogos. They try to ram his balls, but Paul comes in with his balls to block the Ogo. I just realized the Ogos look like penises. It's a cock and ball fight. Paul has been rejecting Yas, calling him master. But if he is able to master this one technique, he will take him on as his pupil. The two go into action. Yas was brought into BGSD by Borino, but now he has a new goal. He has to protect Ito. Yas does the secret technique, head spin. Oh my god, this image frightens me! The Kaiser bites Paul's balls, but he is fine. They begin making their retreat. Yas apologizes to the old man that helped for all the trouble they brought to Harmony 1. The old man says that he has a lot to learn before they take down Lord Spada. He wonders how the old man knows who he is. Cortez, Paul, and Yas follow the old man. They roll out an injured Ito on a stretcher. He is in need of serious medical attention. The old man tells them that Lord Spada came here a while back. They take Cortez as prisoner. Yas demands to know what is going on. He takes Cortez and tells him that they were able to restrain a cyber new type easily, which means he is coming down. They administer a drug called Astomarellian, something used on cyber new types. Cortez wonders how they are in possession of that drug. Paul asks about Yas's commander participating in the naval review. Kanesada and 20 others went to participate and were assumed KIA after the incident. What really seemed to happen is that half of the forces rose up against the Federation. Yas just realizes that Kanesada is Lord Spada. We learn that the Demon Blade AI system is a double-edged sword. In order for Ito to wake, he must be awakened by the Demon Blade. But in doing so, will unleash his true self. It will give Ito life again, but it may unleash a new type that could destroy the world. The old man has what he calls a scabbard that can potentially hold this power. He calls it the Full Armor Striker Custom, also known as Gundam Katana. The FA-79FC Full Armor Striker Custom is a modified version of the Striker Custom that takes parts from Ito Striker and Yuji Striker. It also integrates the Choban armor of the Full Armor Alex. Ranged attacks have been enhanced on this unit. Its newest addition is the Fukasaku. Other weapons include 60mm Vulcans, a double beam cannon on the right forearm, a back rocket cannon mounted on the right side, a chest missile bay, a twin beam saber, the knuckle dagger, and a spark shield. Meanwhile, on Abashiri of Side 1, the man with the biggest lips in Gundam history says that he, Kanesada Tsurugi, has fallen from grace. October 13th, UC-0083, we see the events of Operation Stardust play out. The nuke and its mobile suit was stolen from Torrington Base. During the naval review, that weapon was used, taking out half of the fleet, which included all of the Birmingham-class ships. They don't get talked about a lot, but that's just what happens in prequels. You have a new ship that doesn't exist in the future. Guess we gotta destroy them all. Well, almost all of them. This was swept under the rug, and the survivors were forced to keep their mouths shut. 1 year later, UC-0084. A Birmingham-class ship is headed to Side 7 for a Federation meeting. On their way to the meeting as well is the Titans. This happens to be Stonefield and his crony Johan. They tell True Federal that they are going above the speed limit and to slow down. He is still butthurt by what Ito did to him back on Earth, and he wants to prove himself. So he puts on a show of force. He sends out his Jim Quells. A True Federal mobile suit start picking off other mobile suits one by one. It happens to be the GPO-2 MLRS. The RX-78 GPO-2A, Gundam GPO-2A Type MLRS, like the original GPO-2, is a mid-range support mobile suit. The nuclear warhead is replaced with three 3-tube missile launchers. It is an MLRS or multiple launch rocket system and can be launched all at once or at timed intervals. Even without the nuke, it still rocks the shield that can withstand a nuke. Other weapons include 60mm Vulcans, a beam saber, and the BOA XBR-M8205 beam rifle. With the Jute beam dagger, the GPO-2A tears through the Titan's mobile suit. Before he kills Stonefield, Lord Spada tells him to wait and come to their ship. The pilot happens to be Kanesada. Everyone believes that Lord Spada is Kanesada. The two face one another, and he asks Lord Spada to take off his mask. It happens to be Richard Grayson. During Kanesada's adventures in Side 1, he was captured, after which Richard started using Kanesada's namesake. It appears Grayson tried to erase Kanesada. Richard draws his sword. Yas and the others are able to get the Trojan Horse 3 up and running and head towards Side 7, which is where the Federation meeting is being held. Yas checks on Ito. Cortez tells Yas that he plans on disembarking once they make it to Side 7. He has unfinished business there. Cortez also thinks that Marina will probably intercept them before making it to the colony. Yas asks about the Lost Numbers experiment, but that is when the ship gets an alert. It is a Magellan-class ship speeding towards them. It's Stonefield and the Titans running away from Barino and the Kaiser of Dragons. The Kaiser launches 3 Pezun Dawages. The MS-10 Pezun Dawaj is based off of the Dom series and the last mobile suit series designed during the 1 year war. There are added boosters on the legs which increase mobility. but makes it more difficult to handle. It still retains the hover unit of the feet like the Dom. It also has a bigger generator, making the scattering beam gun in the chest useful, unlike the one on the Dom. The standard weapon is the modified giant bazooka, but these particular Dowages uses the EX-T2-2 beam bazooka, which connect directly to the generator. Other weapons include a beam saber and a 420mm rocket launcher. These are a staple of Pazoon and a part of the secretive Pazoon project. We really need to get back to covering Gundam Sentinel. Yas notices that they move like Ito. They seem to be Demon Blade users as well. The Kaiser bites the juggler, but that is when Cortez comes in to help using the unarmed version of Alex Gundam. Suddenly, Ito wakes up. Cortez asks if these guys are the lost numbers. They don't give him an answer. He thinks that he has the upper hand, but one Dowage pilot tells him, "Who said that there are only 3 of us?" A 4th Dowage pops out and attacks from behind. They refer to them as cyber new types and Cortez as just a prototype. Cortez is most likely an early cyber new type. For more information on the difference between early and late stage cyber new types, check out our Johnny Raiden coverage. While fighting, Cortez gets a new type flash of Jupiter. One of the Dowages gets hit with a beam saber and explodes. The hit seems to have come from the inside. Meanwhile, Richard is about to strike Kanesada when he unsheaths his family sword. This causes everyone to stop in their tracks. He tells everyone that he allowed Grayson to function as his double while he was gone. Now is the time when they create a world with benevolence. Yas is on the Trojan Horse 3. He wonders where the attack is coming from. It is the full armor striker, but Ito walks up to the mobile suit. Is it under its own control once again? It grabs Ito. He talks to the AI system as if it were a person. It seems to want to kill both him and his father. His father carried out cyber new type research out on Jupiter. It seems he went all in on new type theory and wants everyone to become a cyber new type. This led to him experimenting on his own son. The Gundam squeezes tighter. Ito says that he too wants to kill his dad and that they can work together to make it happen. If the striker kills him right here, he will never get a chance to kill Kanesada on his own. The striker stops and allows Ito into the cockpit. They take off. One of the Dowages rips open the hole on the Pegasus, but that is when the full armor striker comes in. He tells everyone to get back. Cortez tries to tell him about the cyber new types, but Ito says, "Oh, I know. The Gundam told me." He talks to Gundams now. The Dowage pilot refers to Ito as brother. They fight with their blades. A Dowage sends out a shockwave, but he counters the shockwave with his blade. The Demon Blade AI tries to activate, but there is an error. Remember, the old man said that the full armor striker's armor contains the Demon Blade, since it is a double-edged sword to activate. The Gundam recognizes this and tries to remove the armor. While going berserk, he takes out another Dowage. Meanwhile, somewhere out in space, a Titan's fleet sees intel on this new version of GPO-2. The commander of the fleet is Bask Om. He notes that Kanesada has Anaheim Electronics, Side 1, and Granada on his side. Bask prepares for Kanesada's revenge. As ZFF plans on meeting for the Federation Summit, Bask is certain Kanesada and True Federal will make their appearance on the battlefield. He refers to him as the failure of the Naval Review from a year ago. He is amazed that they were able to acquire so much support, but they won't let them come out on top. This is a weird time where different EFF factions are currently positioning themselves to control the Federation. The Titans weren't the only faction trying to rise to the top. Post the last conflict, it seems as though the Federation had their version of the Patriot Act enacted, allowing certain parties to vie for political power and, more importantly, funding. Bask says that the Titans will become the true rulers. Ito Striker was able to take out the Lost Numbers team of Dowages. The Demon Blade AI amplifies his brainwaves. It was designed to be the ultimate new type tool, but for Ito, this amplifies his desire to kill his father. It brings out the worst in him. He wonders if he could even trust himself. That is when Ogos come in to attack. Yas is watching and is concerned because mobile armors are fast and you have to shoot them, but Ito still hasn't mastered shooting. That is when the Striker shoots down a few Ogos. It seems that the Gundam did all the shooting for him. He says this Gundam was made for him. He is able to annihilate all the Ogos. Hey, that's just an aimbot. Ito heads for the Kaiser of Dragons next. As he begins fighting with the transforming ship, he starts to lose control of the Gundam and it begins reacting on its own. It seems to be pulled towards the Kaiser. It is able to take out the Kaiser as it transforms. Burrino tells everyone to abandon ship. Why make it a transforming ship if you barely even use it? Oh well. Ito meets with Yas and the others still on the Pegasus-class ship. He tells them about what happened to Mangle, but Ito says, "Oh, I know. The Gundam head told me. This is like that one time Goku read Krillin's mind. Just try a little bit harder, writers." He tells the team that True Federal intends to use the economic turmoil on the Earth to try to form a new nation of new types. They plan on making this happen at Side 7, the place where Amado awakened his new type powers and the place where the summit is taking place. Stonefield Salamis has linked up with the Pegasus-class ship, and his faction of Titans are working with what remains of BGST. They captured one of the Dewaj pilots and demand to know what True Federal plans on doing at Side 7. All he says is that he will lose everything when that day comes. He bites down on his lip and dies. He hid poison in his teeth. Meanwhile, as everyone makes their way to Side 7, many of its citizens protest in the streets. Within the crowd is O'Connell attempting to infiltrate True Federal on the ground level. The protests are interrupted by Gems and a gun tank. O'Connell runs away from the chaos, but she runs into some manhunters who grab and question her. That is when Johan Itakura pretends that she is his girlfriend. He shows his Titan badge to the Manhunters. Also, this is a black and white comic, but this plainclothes Titans officer is totally wearing a vest in Titans colors, isn't he? Even when undercover, a Titans officer can't help themselves. He tries to hit on her by quoting the famous 19th century emo writer, Goethe. Yeah, girls love depressed German writers. She tries to peace out, but he is kind of adamant. O'Connell decides to use this Titans member to her advantage. Time to get this guy drunk. Stonefield notices that his men are all gravitating towards Ito's leadership skills. Ito tells Cortez that Lord Spada is actually Richard Grayson, and how he is an investor on Earth. Originally, Kanesada created True Federal as a response to the Naval Review 1 year ago. He wanted to create a world of cyber new types, so he took Ito to Jupiter and enhanced him. While Kanesada was the prisoner on Side 1, Grayson donned the mask and pretended to be Lord Spada, so True Federal would continue. But Moneyman Grayson did what Moneymen do. They start thinking, hey man, I can make a lot of money profiting off of war. Let's just do that. Now, True Federal creates both the problem and the solution. Meanwhile, O'Connell got Itakura drunk and is puking in the park. While drunk, he explains that Side 7 is the only colony that gets federal funding because of the memorial they built to the Gundam. And the park is the Zaku's dangly bits that ripped off in the first episode. He essentially says that besides Side 7, the colonists are nothing more than slaves to the Federation. While drunk, O'Connell knocks over Itakura and takes his wallet. She meets up with some of her fellow Zeon, helping her track down True Federal. While she was out, her comrades found out that True Federal's headquarters is a satellite colony near Side 7. They need to get close enough to the colony to be able to pick up the ship's communications. But that will draw attention of the Feddies, and they need an ID to make that happen. O'Connell just so happened to snatch one off of a drunk Titans member. She volunteers to head to the sub-colony. Later, O'Connell sneaks on board their colony to find a series of Blue Destiny mobile suits. This is Unit 2 Omega. The RX-79 BD2 Blue Destiny Unit 2 Omega is a variant of Unit 2 that is seen throughout the video games. True Federal studied the exam system to implement into the Demon AI system. They added some of their own research to this Neo-exam system. Like Unit 2, this doesn't have a limiter. Weapons include head Vulcan guns, abdominal wired control missiles, a beam saber, the Blash XBR-79E beam rifle, and a shield. As she runs through the hangar, her head suddenly begins hurting. The Blue Destiny unit is getting into her head. The mobile suit shows her a moment from her past. It showed her a day where she lost someone close to her. Blue Destiny reaches down to O'Connell. She gets into the unit. The Titans notice an explosion on the True Federal sub-colony, and they send mobile suits to check it out. It happens to be Itakura. Blue Destiny destroys Itakura's wingman. O'Connell throws its beam saber, distracting Itakura. She rushes in and slices him to pieces with a secondary beam saber. Blue Destiny's eyes glow bright. She is able to sense Itakura as she kills him. She wonders why this all feels so tragic to her, and why she is this way. Remember, Unit 2 Omega is the basis for the Full Armor Striker Custom. The Demon Blade AI system seems to be feeding off of O'Connell's darker side. Ito tells everyone to go to Stage 3 alert. Cortez asks him if he sensed something coming. Ito tells him not to worry, and he will act as the vanguard. While Cortez sucker punches him and takes off in his Alex. He can sense something is coming fast. Before finishing that thought, Blue Destiny attacks him. She could finally get revenge for Cortez killing her father. She seems to be consumed by the mobile suit. Cortez wonders why that girl who tries to blow herself up is here now. The two engage in battle. Cortez pulls off the Spider Venom's maneuver, but he stops midway through. Blue Destiny goes in to attack when Ito and the Striker saves him from dying. Ito and O'Connell begin fighting. He tells her that she could seek vengeance and their common enemy is True Federal. She says that he broke his promise and she can only trust her father. Ito says that after they take down True Federal, he will personally kill Cortez. Cortez is like, what the hell? Ito tells her that if he doesn't keep his promise, then after they kill Kanasada, she could kill him. Ugh, teenagers. She doesn't know if she could trust Ito anymore. That is when an explosion goes off. The GPO-2 approaches. It is Kanasada. Ito realizes that this is his father. He instantly attacks him. Kanasada says that is no way to talk to your father. The son wonders why he made him endure all of what he endured, just for him to betray EFF and to betray him. Suddenly, the Striker stops moving. Kanasada seems to be controlling the Demon Blade AI. He is able to get one attack off. Kanasada uses the technique Unity with Heaven and Earth, which vibrates the unit with quick speeds, missing attacks, while appearing as though it isn't moving. Kanasada points his beam bazooka at the Striker and fires. Remember, this version doesn't have a nuke. Cortez jumps in front of the beam blast and lalas himself. This enrages Ito. You were going to kill him though. Father and son engage in battle. Kanasada tells Ito that he finally acquired enough power to achieve his benevolence. Kanasada explains, as we have heard from different stories before, that post 1 year war, the entire Earth is in a state of destabilization. We know that even though the Zombies lost, the Space Noids in many ways won, at least in the long run. But in order to maintain the Federation's world order, they kept their archaic systems in place, filtering money into the hands of a few Earthnoids. He didn't expect Richard Grayson to betray him while away, but Grayson surprisingly brought forth new allies Kanasada never would think about. As they fight, O'Connell comes in and grabs him, while the Gym Juggler and BGST come in to help. Kanasada decides to make his retreat. Ito notices that the Demon Blade system was activated this whole time. He is slowly gaining control. Is this something that his father was trying to help him with? Back on the Pegasus, Dr. Henry, O'Connell's Xeon comrade, tells Ito of the exam system and its origins. He tells him that O'Connell's mobile suit and his mobile suit share a similar system. Cortez is alive, so O'Connell tells Ito that he better keep his promise. One of the Federation chairmen that kinda looks like Gop, but probably isn't Gop, but it might be Gop, is swarmed by the press. When he reaches his lodging, a True Federal agent suggests to him that he work with Lord Spada and True Federal. The agent relays back to Lord Spada that they may have the chairman in the palm of their hands. Lord Spada says that the Earth will be cleansed by the blood of the Titans who advocate for Earth's superiority. Tomorrow, the post-war summit will begin. This will be the first time that the Space Noids have a seat at the table, albeit a seat at the children's table. Many Space Noids are protesting the event. A man by the name of Lieutenant General Blake receives a letter from True Federal. True Federal supplies that aren't on the supply list make it into the summit. Lord Spada says that tomorrow will be stained in blood of the Titans. They rose to supremacy after Operation Stardust, but True Federal now has control of the central government of Side 7. Things will change soon. He thanks Richard Grayson for all he's done. Grayson is currently in a back-to-tank healing. Okay, tone it down with the Star Wars references. He is being cyber-enhanced. Meanwhile, Ito's men are 1 day away from Side 7 and will make it just as the summit begins. They will split into two, and the Titans will go and relay this information to their superiors. The Titans have more power and can get things done faster than BGST. Meanwhile, his team will be searching for miniaturized Psychomu systems. They are installed throughout Side 7. Ito believes it is to transmit signals under Minovsky particle dispersion and perhaps even transmit a signal to activate G3 gas. BGST and the Titans will stop True Federal. They salute Ito. Even Stonefield salutes him, but he is kind of embarrassed about it. Ito visits Dr. Henry, who does a brain scan on him. He shows a model of his brain and tells him that he has a link that makes him strong in emotional fluctuation, which is close to emotional suppression. Dr. Henry says that this is the ideal cyber new type. Oh man, just wait 7 years, Neo Zeon will be splitting cyber new types into two. It starts with control of emotional triggers, it ends with split personalities that could kill without the other you knowing. At least there is a through line. Another key is benevolence. Ito reflects back to his father and Mingle, teaching him about benevolence. He blames himself for Mingle's death and wished he never became commander. The next day, the summit begins at Side 7. Gemtov Hyman and others make their appearance. Richard Grayson breaks out of the back to tank and yells. The Federation Federation Summit begins. Last chapter, we saw one of the security officers from the summit doing mundane things. He is tasked with scouting one section. During his patrol, he begins firing on the summit building. His petite mobile was taken over. The pilot doesn't know what just happened. This was controlled remotely by a team of scientists that hijacked the unit. This is Demon Blade Murasame. This security unit is a part of the Titans. Everyone outside begins pointing fingers at them. As the Federation members leave, Kanesada speaks up. He tells them that his men are assembled outside of the summit. He mentions purging groups that have formed within EFF and brings up his lost men at the Naval Review during Operation Stardust. Remember, Operation Stardust doesn't exist on paper. Cohen and everyone involved in the Gundam development project, including Ko, were placed in prison or silenced other ways. EFF's official statement is that the men that were killed by Gato are MIA. Kanesada just said the truth on a public broadcast while prepping their mobile suits. The BGST team sees the news of chaos breaking out on Side 7. Dr. Henry says that Cortez and O'Connell's mobile suits react to the Demon Blade system. He upgraded Cortez's mobile suit to the Netix. The RX-78 NTX, pronounced Netix, is a new type-based mobile suit originally seen in SD Gundam G Generations. After EFF gained access to Psychomu tech from Zeon post-war, they began experimenting with Psychomu systems. However, they weren't able to miniaturize the Psychomu like Zeon, so they are chunky boys. Its main weapon is the backpack, which stores a pair of wired bits. Since these are wired bits, even old types can use these to a certain extent. Other weapons include 60mm Vulcans, a machine gun, a beam rifle, a twin beam rifle that replaces Alex's Gatling gun, a beam saber, and a shield. When Netix and Blue Destiny are close to Katana Gundam, the three of them will become more powerful. This is the new BGSD team. Cortez doesn't agree to this. They get ready to deploy. The Netix has both the power of the Elmeth and the Gundam. Dr. Henry says Cortez needs to have both the new type reaction of Amado and the new type senses of Lala. Cortez wonders if he could live up to that as just a cyber new type. The doctor says he went to Jupiter, so he will do just fine. The doctor lives off the assumption that most people who spend enough time around Jupiter are new types. Ito tells Paul Mercury that he isn't obligated to help BGST, but he says that the die has been cast. He is here to help. Also, the little guy from Harmony 1 is still here with the crew. It seems like Yas is getting off on ordering him around since he is slightly smaller than him. Yas was able to steal the blade of BGST while they were at Granada. When did he have time to do that? He gives it to Ito. After BGST launches, Stonefield and the Titans will take control of the Pegasus-class ship. He apologizes for bringing this trouble to Stonefield and launches. As BGST launches, Mingle appears to Ito. He tells him something regarding Kanesada, but we do not hear it. They head to Side 7, where they are met with 10 mobile suits. They go into battle. After taking out the mobile suits, Ito notices that the colony is very quiet. Grayson asks an underling if his mobile suit is ready. This is the Domo Mark II, or Duo. The MS-19C Domo Duo, or Mark II is a variant of the Domo with the Demon Blade AI system. This was taken from a Striker custom. This version has the Gundam head, but Grayson modified it to have a twin eye sensor instead of the mono eye sensor. This has the same weapons loadout as the Domo, including the tow beam. The hangar door opens and an Akai approaches him. Grayson expected this man to eventually show himself. This is Old Man Tsurugi Murasame, Kanesada's father and the man who forged the Demon Blade. Murasame says that the Demon Blade was supposed to bring balance to the Force. Bring harmony to EFF. Based off of the character design of his grandfather and his father, Ito has a giant nose and thick lips to look forward to in his adult life. Weird character designs. I love it. Kanesada has fallen from the path, and so too has Ito. He has to make things right by destroying all of the Demon Blade systems, including the one on Grayson's Domo. They engage in battle. Murasame recognizes that he is a cyber new type enhanced to the limits. The old man uses the Great Revolution 1000-hand cannon. He goes in for a final strike, but the Domo blocks it. Grayson says that it is fun being superhuman. BGST goes into the colony to find that the colonists were beaten into submission. That is when a giant mobile armor makes its appearance. It is Burrino in a mass production Big Zam. We talked about this mobile suit in part 4 of this series. Go check it out if you haven't. The Demon Blade mobile suit seems to get weaker the closer they get to the mobile armor. Burrino is piloting this. Burrino was able to make his escape from the Kaiser of Dragons. Yas tells Ito and the rest to head to Side 7 while he takes care of this guy. Since they met on the battlefield at Harmony 1, he has been holding a grudge for the half of BGSD team that abandoned them on Earth. he is also trying to prove himself to the young master. Yas whips his balls out and attacks. Burrino activates his eye field. The gym stops moving. That is when Paul comes in and the two do the double finger 3D ricochet. Balls are flying everywhere, but they can't penetrate the eye field. Yas rushes towards the Big Zam. Ito and the others see an explosion go off in the distance. They head into the colony to find that the people have been subdued by the Demon Blade brainwaves. It seems as though the colony is all on drugs. I want to get high off of Demon Blade brainwaves. A group of Titan mobile suits surround them along with Kanasada. They are also being controlled. Kanasada suggests that together they can rule the galaxy as father and son. I mean something else that totally isn't Star Wars. Ito is starting to realize that this is the purpose of the many Psychomu systems placed throughout the Side 7 subcolony. Even the Federation members are subdued by brainwaves. Kanasada says it is useless. This is their plan. Man is drawn to war, and as humanity scales, so too does our ability to conduct war. At the scale in which humanity operates, war is simply a world extinction event. So True Federal will do it by force. These brainwaves will suppress humanity's desires to go to war. Oh my god, this tool is every fascist's wet dream. You don't believe in what I believe in? Well, with the push of this button, you do now. Ito says this is simply tyranny. Right now, it seems to be only extending to this colony. Ito seems to be the key to making this spread worldwide, or Earthsphere-wide, I guess. They also seem to have this machine hooked up to cyber new types to make this happen. Kanasada's men try to take him away, but O'Connell and Cortez come to save him. O'Connell will handle business while Cortez and Ito get out of there. As Yas rushes in, Paul tells him to retreat. He goes ahead of Yas and does the technique, the kamikaze ball-crushing miracle. Paul's balls goes up in a blaze of glory, taking out the Big Zam's engine. Yas yells out for his master. One thing that the story doesn't really point out until now is that the little kid is piloting the gym in the gym juggler with Yas and Paul in the balls. The kid is able to get the gym moving again. The kid rushes in anger, yelling, "I will avenge you, gay uncle!" Yas and the kid go in for one final blow, killing Burrino and the Big Zam. Even though he was his enemy, Yas still feels empathy for his former BGSD member. The two can sense something from the subcolony. At the subcolony, Grayson yells, "I am a golden god!" So taking too many cyber new type enhancements is like taking too much cocaine. Got it. You get delusions of grandeur. However, behind him, the damaged guy gets up. Ito's trip to Jupiter will keep him away from the Earth sphere for 7 years. Kanasada hopes this will make him strong. Ito bids his father farewell. He goes into stasis. When he gets out, one man struggling gets carried away. Ito never saw him again. Over time, many others began disappearing. During his cyber new type enhancements, he happens to see the future. He happens to see this moment. In the present, he faces his father, Kanasada. He tells Ito that he learned everything he taught him, but he now realizes that peace can't be achieved with those old ways, which is why he is using the Demon Blade brainwaves. Ito goes in with a swift attack, but Kanasada is able to block it. Cortez is watching the fight go down. Kanasada says that humans don't know how to make a choice and that they only keep on fighting until they destroy themselves. So he will force humanity to make a change. Ito tells him to cut the bullshit. Kanasada begins dual-wielding beam sabers. He pins his son down and tells him to get out of his cockpit. That is when Grayson in his new Domel barges in. He appears to have destroyed Old Man Murasame. "Hey Cortez, do you want to help?" "Nope, just going to watch, huh?" Grayson has never actually defeated Kanasada, but today he believes things will be different. He was merely the money man until Kanasada brought him into the dojo. Cortez notices that Kanasada in the GPO-2 and Grayson are just staying still, but Ito can see it. The two are fighting with lightning-fast speeds. Grayson is getting the upper hand. Kanasada says that Grayson's skills can be used to activate the Demon Blade, but his former pupil has other plans. He plans to build his own new world order out of the coming conflict. Grayson grabs the GPO-2 and rips it apart, killing Kanasada. That is when Cortez in the Netics comes in. Finally, you do something. He unleashes his bits on the Domel. With his bits, he believes that it will be a 3v1, and Cortez could get the upper hand, but he still struggles. Ito is upset that he wasn't able to kill his father himself. The Demon Blade system activates. Cortez is mad that Grayson was pretending to be Kanasada and implanted flash memories in his head. They vaguely hinted at this, but not enough for me to care this late in the game. Cortez's mobile suit is overheating, trying to keep up with Grayson. His mobile suit is at its limits, but he will take Grayson down even if the Netics melts in the process. Ito tells Cortez not to waste his life on this guy as he steps in. Grayson uses the move Steel Leg Blazed Wind Slash, but Ito is able to counter the move. He then tries to cancel the young master's palm strikes. He is too fast. Ito could see ki flowing through Grayson. He strikes the Domel, but it still has the power to fight. Grayson says that he will open the door to his godhood. A light suddenly enshrouds Ito. Minovsky particles sweep across the area and cut off all broadcasts. An EFF soldier realizes that it just isn't Minovsky particle interference, however. It is also brainwave activity. On board the Pegasus-class ship, Stonefield's crew suddenly collapses and becomes lethargic. He remembers what Ito said about the transmitters that were installed across Side 7. Stonefield wonders what is happening. Grayson sees the birth of life on Earth and human evolution. He's going on a new type trip like Full Frontal that one time. Suddenly, tendrils burst out of Side 7. Meanwhile, Yas and the little kid find the downed At guy. One thing I didn't realize until now is that Old Man Murasame is the old man from Harmony 1. Yas wonders why he is here. He tells the kid to take the At guy and head back to Harmony 1. The ball detaches from the gym and Yas goes to search for Ito alone. Ito wakes up at BGST HQ. Mangle is standing in front of him, telling the young master to get up. He is tired from everything, from taking command of BGST to inheriting the Tsurugi family traditions. It is too much for him. He just wants to rest. He is consumed by darkness before O'Connell tells him to wake up. Light begins shining. She reaches out to him. Ito then sees the Tsurugi lineage. They tell him that someone is trying to absorb his consciousness, and Ito must stop this from happening. Old Man Murasame is also there and allows Ito to unsheath the weapon from its scabbard. The striker's armor comes off and a new system is activated. The Katana system. That is when Yas comes in, but Ito tells him to stop. He hears his dad telling him to sever his attachments. A light is unleashed throughout Side 7. O'Connell gets Cortez and Yas to safety. Ito vanishes as the light fades. It also looks like Side 7 got destroyed, but that doesn't seem right. After Side 7, True Federal was destroyed. But since Ito was missing in action, BGST fell into obscurity. Soon, the Titans went to war with the AUG. The Titans disbanded, and soon the AUG found themselves fighting against Neo Zeon. We learn that these words come from Pinbone Stonefield. His first name is Pinbone. He is writing his memoirs and reflecting on Ito. Back in Montebello, BGSD has disbanded and many went their separate ways. However, Yas upholds the Tsurugi family dojo and many have stuck around, including Cortez. Yas is also rocking a sweet mustache and pomp. I'm jealous. Meanwhile, the Nemesis team learns of Ito's location. The least they could do is tell their comrades where he is. Yas mentions that the Demon Blade was later used in the Psycho Gundam made by Murasame Labs, so they learn that he is living in a quiet area in Japan. They travel to the mountainside near Mount Fuji and find a cabin. They find Ito with a blindfold over his eyes. O'Connell is with him. She only got to his location 3 days earlier. He could sense Yas. He tells them that they should leave, but a storm comes, so they stay for the night. Before leaving the next day, Yas gives Ito the Tsurugi sword and tells him to commit harikari. He says that if a Tsurugi plans on abandoning this sword, then he should end it properly. He hands him the sword, and he has another. He says, "Just kidding, I want to fight you." Since Ito abandoned them, he has been training to be worthy of the Tsurugi sword. He needs to prove his worthiness. The two begin to fight. Yas slices his blindfold off. Yas moves the sword with great speeds, creating static electricity. He charges with his final attack, the Spark Knuckle. However, Ito is able to counter his attack. Yas has been defeated. He begs Ito to return to Montebello and BGST. He reveals that he likes his beard, and reveals that he could see, and he was just messing with everyone. Even O'Connell, who came 3 days earlier. Everyone yells at him and tells him to return. We learn that this is all still Stonefield's memoirs. Because of this, he corrected Ito's MIA record. The BGST is back. As for their adventures, that's a long story for a different time. Signed, former Captain Pinbone Stonefield, February 2nd, UC 0092. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam Katana and the Hooligans saga. I love the camaraderie in this manga. Much of the BGSD team is based off of a Yakuza clan, and you could see that throughout the manga. I genuinely enjoyed this manga, but that ending fell quite flat, and I was kind of expecting a cool fight, and not just ending with a flash of light. They leave room for another BGST story to be told, and I would love to see another sequel, but I have a feeling this is the end of this saga. The artwork was so bizarre and unique that it stands out amongst the rest. Even though I like this, I enjoyed Hooligans a little more than Katana. But let me know which Sono Yoshihiro manga you liked more. Did you like this or Hooligans? Or did you like the At Guy side story? Let me know. That will do it for now, new types. Remember, sometimes you don't get the pleasures of killing your own father. You just gotta live with it. Peace.